Hello?
Yes, hello, Gina.
Hello, is it Bob?
Yes, Gina.
Well, listen, Bob. Why won't you let Rock Riley talk about Joe DiMaggio?
Because it's an absurd story that has become a joke.
But that's not within your sphere of control.
Oh, I beg your pardon, ma'am. It is within my sphere of control.
It is not your program. It's his 3 or 4 o'clock.
No, ma'am. It is my program.
I wish you'd stop controlling everybody else.
I wish you would have done what you should have done about 35 years ago, and that is die of old age.
You are a case, man. You need help.
Oh.
And over here, the popular team of Ron and from a 6'8" to a 5'6".
We'll be hearing that again. Chris, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
Magnificent Lassiter.
Magnificent Chris.
Nice to speak with you.
Yes, it is.
Hey, I think that was Mr. Airstream's wife.
No, I think it was his mother.
Nothing is that old and still breathing. Anyhow.
I wasn't sure about her still breathing. Dorothy, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
I'm so glad you have diabetes.
You are.
That must make you miserable.
No, it doesn't.
You're a spiritual dog, Patty. So is your wife. Your wife's titties hang on to her ankles. Goodbye.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I was not in a good mood when I came in here tonight. I had a very frustrating week in the market. I mean, I traded my ass off, and I made a whopping $15 for the week. And I was kind of depressed and a little bit bummed out about it. I'm enjoying the crap out of this. I am just enjoying the crap out of this. It has changed my entire attitude. I'm going to go home a happy man tonight. Greg in Valrico. Greg, you're on the air 970 WFLA. It's true. I sat here and I said to Jeffy, I ain't got no show, and the bad part about it is I'm really not in a good mood. And now I'm just getting happier and more giggly as the night goes on.
I was afraid I was going to follow Dorothy.
Well, you know, obviously somebody took my invitation to heart. Somebody thought I was talking directly to her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a Dr. Laura spy report.
Oh, okay.
The redheaded skank from the West Coast has struck again.
No.
She told some guy that she thought it was utterly ridiculous to let his 5-year-old child to grow up to believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, what a bitch. Why would you say something like that?
I don't know.
I mean, I really and truly don't understand. There's no harm. There's no damage.
I almost ran off the road, I was surprised you didn't. Nobody.
I don't listen to that crap.
I'm surprised nobody gave you a spy report on it last night. But it was a different kind of show. And when you said anything goes, I figured I'd call you and say, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
What kind of decent human being at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when there's a very high probability of young children listening, what kind of what'd you say, skank? Good word. I haven't used that for a long time.
Skank.
Redheaded skank. What kind of a redheaded skank? What difference does it make?
Well, when you look like a 98-pound Skeletor, I guess you got nothing else to do but ruin little kids' lives.
I suppose. I just really don't understand.
I guess she's pissed because she got caught in her granny panties on the freaking internet, man. That just pissed me off. It really did.
It ought to piss you off. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It just serves no purpose at all.
I mean, I hung on to my kids believing, that the way little kids do. I hung on to that as long as I could. I kept, with the older kids, that kind of thing, for as long as I possibly could with the youngest one, just because I got a kick out of it, and so does the kids.
I've thought of...
The kids get the kick out of it.
I've thought about how I would handle it if I had children, and I frankly would do it differently than most people do. I would, my concept of Santa Claus is the concept I would start selling to my kids from day one. Which is a little bit different than the most traditional, although it's still
Santa Claus. I've heard you talk about Santa Claus many, many times, my friend, and I can't agree with you more on that. This makes me feel the same way, too.
He's my best buddy in the whole wide world, and it's just amazing how at this time of the year, just the mere thought that Santa's out there lurking makes me a better boy.
Knows what I want every year.
That's right.
Every stinking year.
That's right. And, some years I don't get it, and some years I do, but it doesn't make any difference. It makes me be a good boy and do more chores around the house. For a couple of weeks, anyway.
I hope a bird flies into her Hanukkah bush and ignites it.
Oh, God, no. We kill the bird.
All right, man.
Okay.
I just figured I'd touch base with you on that. Hey, have a good weekend. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is probably going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, how's that?
Because Marvin doesn't know what he's getting into on the turnstile.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Could be fun for all of us. Might be worth rolling tape on,
That's what I mean. Lots of fun.
Okay.
All right, be good.
You too. 70 WFLA.
Yeah, Bobby, this thing with Dr. Laura saying there is no Santa Claus, I have pictures right here in my hand of chimney practice down in Austin, Texas, and I've got a picture of me with Santa Claus, and I've got some of the other people that work with him that do chimney practice, and we're chimney inspectors for Santa Claus.
I have pictures of me and my best buddy, too. I don't know what the hell that dumb bitch is talking about.
I don't either. And I'll tell you what, I can drop these by the station, and you can put them on Laura's internet site and find out what's going on. Because I've got them.
Well, no, her internet site's pretty well filled up. She's selling, tapes and pictures of her in the nude, right?
Yeah, probably has live-action shots now.
Yes, she does.
But, no, there definitely is a Santa Claus, and I have pictures to prove it.
Well, okay, John.
All right, buddy.
Take care. 990 WFLA in Hillsboro. Anything goes on a Friday night. 990 WFLA, and that should be obvious by now. 461 WFLA in Pinellas as we take our life in our hands. Which is better than what we normally take in our hands. John in Pinellas. John, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, this is John.
In Pinellas, right.
How you doing?
Excellent.
Very good.
Rarely changes from call to call.
One thing between you and High Lit, WIBG, you both have the same laugh, and Clinton have in common. And that is the guys from Philly and Carrollwood, they laugh and point after it's done.
Yeah.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
Are you serial?
I'm serial. You had the same laugh.
Let's get right back to them. Shirley in Ruskin. Hi, Shirley. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Excellent, Shirley.
I'm telling you, you had my husband falling off the couch tonight. He said you're the only man he knows that laughs from his toes all the way up.
That's right.
So, listen, when you were talking about women's boobs...
Yes.
This goes way back to the 60s, Johnny Carson. Maybe you remember this woman, little old lady, called Moms Mabley.
Oh, sure, yeah, Moms. Who actually was a man.
Was it really?
That's my understanding, yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, that was the joke. That Moms Mabley was a man, yeah.
Oh, my God. Well...
God, I hadn't thought about moms in years.
Well, when you were talking about boobs, it made me think of the joke that this person told Moms Mabley about her friend who was going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
She called her on the phone and she told her, I've had enough. So Moms told her, get a gun, put it 2 inches below your boob, and pull the trigger. Next day, her friend called her from the hospital and said, what you doing, Mom? She said, I thought you'd be dead. She said, no. She said, well, what happened? She said, well, I did what you said, and I blew my kneecap off.
I've heard that before, but not in a long time. That's a good one to come out and recycle again.
I'm telling you. Well, you have a good night, and we love you.
Well, we love you, too.
You tell all those harassers where to go.
Yes, right here, 990 WFLA in Hillsboro, 461 WFLA in Pinellas. Let's do Jim in Wesley Chapel. Jim, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Greetings, Robert.
Greetings.
Ex-Philadelphian, ex-mummer, still love tasty cake, soy cheese steak, and soy cheese cream pie. the whole 9 yards.
Uh-huh.
And it's just the first time I had a chance to give you a call here, and just, I know you're Philadelphia and whatever, and just thought I'd just jump on the horn here and just rap you for a couple of minutes. I hear you talking about these things all the time, and it brings back great memories to me.
Well, I'm glad it does.
Yep. Really neat.
Okay.
Thank you.
So glad it brings great memories to you, but in the future, keep it to yourself.
This just in, we think Mums was played by Cliff Arquette and or Charlie Weaver. Of course, he didn't want to go on the air, some old guy. See, that's just the messages for you.
Some moron called in off the air, tell Bob.
FYI, I believe was his for Bob. Just letting you know. I know, you complain that I don't let you know what's happening. I'm just letting you know. Oh, I also got a Merry Christmas, and you're as good as always. I got the Merry Christmas.
Oh, you got the Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Is that
Yeah. Well, that's very thoughtful of you to let us know what kind of off-air comments you're getting.
I'm going to put a little X on this page of lists that I make tonight because you already know these. I don't have to go over these with you.
Oh, you have additional ones, yeah.
I make notes every night.
Let's go to Jason in Brandon. Jason, you're on the air 970 WFLA.
Mr. Bob.
Yes, sir.
A friendly challenge. There's something that you do.
A challenge from a listener. Yes.
And if you don't know, you don't know. But you do a song when you hum. You do it about every day.
About 5 or 6 times a day while I'm waiting for people to come to the phone, right.
And you do the...
it's called the Anniversary Waltz.
The Anniversary Waltz.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you hum a certain part.
Oh, how we danced on the night we were wed. We danced and we danced till we nearly were dead. Yeah.
Can you do the middle part of it?
Probably not.
All right, could you do that part? And then there's the other part, and for years I've been hearing it, and I wondered, does he know the middle, the part that goes la 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 la, the high part?
Probably not. No, I don't know why I started doing that. I have no recollection. It's not a song that means anything to me or anything like that, and I've been doing it now for probably 10 years. It was just the first thing that came to my mind one night when I had to fill dead air waiting for somebody to come to the phone.
In Farmington, Michigan, I did a solo of that where you had to do the high part.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not much younger than you, and I've got a tenor voice, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, every time I hear it coming from you, then I go into the falsetto, the Tiny Tim section.
It's the only part of the song that I know. And it just comes, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I can't explain it.
And it bugged me since I've heard you do it, and every time you hum it, I start humming. So, just you're honest, you don't know it. That's cool.
Now, it may be because almost always, not all the time, but almost always, it's an elderly person that does that to us. And maybe that's, something from their youth. I don't know.
I guess. I appreciate it, Bob.
Okay, dude.
Yeah, bye.
Let's go to Maurice in Dunedin. Maurice, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Maurice seems to be having a good time in the background. Although I can't hear anybody else, so I guess Maurice is just having a good time by himself.
Okay. We have two.
Oh, two.
Hello? Two messages.
Maurice is finally here. Hold those messages.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, hello, Maurice. Hope we didn't take you away from anything important.
Hello?
Yes, hello, Maurice.
Hello, this is me.
Yes, I know.
How are you, Bob?
Excellent. Doesn't
You know what?
change
You guys had me waiting for a long time on the telephone, so I hung it up. But then I heard you on the radio, so I came back on. The phone is still up. That's
unbelievable.
Look, I got a story on Joe DiMaggio Jr. Look, I work in a jewelry store. What the heck is that noise? There we go. Okay. I work in a jewelry store.
In a jewelry store, yeah.
And the guy shows up one time with a fake Rolex. So we tell him this is a fake Rolex. We can't work on it. He said, "What? I bought this thing in Palm Beach or wherever, for $2,000. He brought it in with another guy that he wanted to sell it to. The thing is, I told him I can't work on this. He said, "Please open up the back and let's take a look at it." So I went to open up the back. The thing falls apart. So I brought it back to him, and he starts. At the end, he just charges my boss $100, to repair his fake Rolex that I didn't want to take care of in the beginning. So the guys are yelling like crazy over here, and just I don't know. If he's Joe DiMaggio Jr., what the heck is he messing around with this thing? What the heck is he wants to get $100 from my boss? And that's my recollection of Joe DiMaggio Jr.
Unbelievable. Thanks for sharing that with us, Maurice.
And I saw him a second time. You want me to tell it to you?
No. Jeffy?
Yes?
I want you to call engineering. And I want you to tell them to work on the phone system. Because we almost missed that call. I want you to tell them that I want the phones to disconnect when they hang up. To not keep them on the air. We could have avoided that if the damn phone system worked properly.
I know.
And I think we would have all been better for it.
We could have had my off-air messages.
Oh, well, yeah, but where were they?
Oh, okay. Yeah. First of all, we found out that Cliff Arquette was not
Mom's Mabley.
Was not Mom's Mabley.
Charlie Weaver, yeah.
No, that was not Mom's Mabley.
Weaver.
Mom's Mabley was Jackie Mom's Mabley.
Jackie Mabley, yeah.
Very attractive with her teeth in.
His teeth.
African-American comedian. And the song that the caller was looking for was actually an old Jewish wedding song.
It's not an old Jewish wedding song. It's the anniversary of Waltz.
No, the other song. That's what I'm just saying.
Looking for any other song.
He said to me,
He was talking about the middle of the anniversry waltz because he only hears me do the first part of it.
Look, these are off-air messages.
Okay. So what was the
song was "Oh How We Dance When We Wed," or "Oh How We Wed When We Dance."
Anniversary waltz. Oh,
it's an old Jewish wedding song.
Dance. What do you think it's an old?
That's what
she
said.
Havana Gila. That's an old Jewish wedding song.
I'll mark these down. I told you these.
Yeah, call her back and tell her she's wrong. Just because you heard it at an old Jew's wedding doesn't mean it's an old Jewish wedding song.
I told you that one. Jewish lady. Okay.
I once heard, what the hell is that classical song I used to play a lot at weddings? Jubilation, Jubilee, something like that.
Huh?
I think it's a Beethoven thing or something like that. Which doesn't mean it's a wedding song just because people play it at some weddings.
Was it pre-Depression weddings?
Don't bring up that word during the course of a program here.
I was driving a cab back in '79 when I first came down here. Went to meet to pick up this sweet little old lady, about 4'6", 75 years old.
Yeah.
Barely walk. I hop out of the cab, help her in. "Where are you going, ma'am?" Take her over to the drugstore. I felt so sorry for her. I even shut the meter off, which, I shouldn't do, but felt sorry for her.
I understand.
She gets back in the cab after I helped her in. Take her down to Clearwater so she could go to another store. Comes back out, and of course, this coming in and out of the store doesn't take 2 minutes. It's 20 minutes, and I'm sitting there earning no money, but I don't mind. She's a sweet old lady.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole trip takes close to an hour by the time I get her to her house, and we drive up, and it's a house equivalent today would be about $150,000 house.
Yeah.
Okay. $4.35, ma'am. But I don't have any money. Oh, no. Ma'am, are you serious? No, I don't have any money. I pretended I keyed the mic, and I said, base, calling in, I'm at such and such an address, and I need the police over here. I have a fare that won't pay. And so she thought I did call, but she started saying, "But I don't have any money, I don't have any money." I said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I have to collect the money or I get fired."
That's right.
And, you know, here it is. I mean, you know, I have to turn in half this money. To see the way the cab drivers used to work, they keep half, or
Right,
back then,
yeah.
they keep half, and, you know, the
Yeah.
company gets half. So she goes, well, I want, here. And she throws $4 at me. I go, ma'am, it's $4.35. And she goes, but I don't have the money. So I just pretended I keyed the mic again. Base, this is number 9. Are the police on their way yet? She goes, okay. And she gets the change out, exactly 35 cents, throws it at me and says, here, you son of a bitch, shove it up your ass.
What else have you got free?
I swear to God, those were her exact words. She jumped out of that car and slammed the door like she was 20 years old and stormed off.
Unbelievable.
I was so shocked. You know, I never in my life would have talked to an old lady like that. I mean, I had a grandma and all that, but it just blew my mind. And anyway, Bob, you have a good night.
Great story, dude. Take care.
Bye.
Yes! You moron. I'm sorry, you were saying, Jeffy?
Yeah, I was saying weeknights at 1 a.m. It's the Art Bell Show.
Hey, can't you see him sitting there with his speed dialing and his finger ready? It's a highlight of his frickin' week.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the Art Bell Show, weeknights at 1.
And maybe you can call Art.
Don't forget about Sunday's Dreamland Show, Sunday nights at 10. And hey, you know, coming up at 10 o'clock tonight is Bruce Williams.
Coming up next at 8, though.
Big show. Big show coming up at 8 o'clock.
I wonder who your first caller's going to be. I said, I wonder who your first caller's going to be.
I don't know if that's...
Oh, man. I don't know that I've ever had my mood turned around during the course of a program so dramatic. Not in that direction. I've had it turned around in the other direction. I've come in here feeling great and left crawling down the hall in despair and depression.
We still have.
Oh, you have additional off-air messages?
Yeah, I'm going to mark this down.
Pass along to Bob. Yeah.
Tell you this one and tell you this one.
Mm-hmm.
The old lady called back and said, I still want to know...
Which old lady? There have been several of them tonight.
Life is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would still want to know how Joe DiMaggio is doing, you liberal garbage. I told you that one.
She thinks we should do updates during the show.
And, of course, we got the...
Hey, look, lady, if you're still listening, I'm sure you are. There's one thing I can say about Joe DiMaggio over you. At least he has the decency to try to die. Yeah, and you had more messages?
Oh, just the obligatory, be sure to tell Bob that, ooh, that's good. There you go. Okay, I told you those.
Yeah, disappointed about a half a dozen of them tonight. Bart on his cell phone. Bart, you're on the air 970 WFLA.
Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Bart.
I just want to tell these people who are missing the whole, part of what I want to tell was I'm Jewish. And on Christmas, Santa Claus used to come and visit me as a child, and it's some of the best childhood memories I've ever had. So I think these people
some of the best memories in life that many of us have ever had.
Right. I mean, it has very little to do with religion. It just
has nothing to do with it at all. It's innocence and purity and frankly the way it ought to be.
I agree.
The way that we all wish it was.
So tell those people to just, take a walk or something. Santa Claus is great.
Okay.
But anyway, one of the things that I think is going to be interesting, if the impeachment passes the full House, we'll see if Bill Clinton's a really good poker player. Because if he does get impeached, he loses his pension, which from what I gather is worth over $2 million. And besides which, you're going to have like a jury trial, and it's going to be all televised, and everything is going to be gone over ad nauseum. We're probably going to see Monica Lewinsky on the stand. We're probably going to see Jordan Vernon, Betty Curry. All these people are going to be called up to testify. I mean, you want to talk about a show.
Well, but don't forget that in the Senate, and why this is the case I do not know, but after 1 hour...
the weather. You sat and wasted your whole show
on you should put your stuff in the swimming pool and go by water. You know, that was so moronic. I was just sitting back here drinking beer and everything and just laughing the whole time. Are you an expert? You think you're an expert on football, and then you think you're an expert on the weather, and are you not an expert on anything? Because I have told you things.
You know what I'm an expert on?
What?
Getting rid of assholes. 990-WFLA in Hillsborough. 461 WFLA in Pinellas. Well, you know, we keep the entertaining assholes around. That's what I'm an expert at, too, is figuring out which assholes are entertaining. The GTE wireless thing.
The number is pound 970.
Okay, so I'm snickering, all right?
What?
So I'm snickering, okay? You know?
You like it?
Look, I said I was snickering.
You like it? Is it okay? Do you think it's true?
Now, I'm going to stop snickering. 990-WFLA in Hillsborough, 461-WFLA in Pinellas. Steve in Pasco. Steve, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
Hey, Bob, I got one for you.
Okay.
Okay, this is...
Jeffy, Steve has one for us. Stand by.
Standing by.
I waited long enough for this one. Okay, this is a married couple. The husband has a problem with flatulence, farting all the time. The wife's getting mad at him. She says to him one day, she says, one of these days you're going to crap your guts out. He just laughs and farts away. And so they work different shifts. One day she comes home while he's sleeping, and she tucks 5 pounds of Italian sausage up underneath his legs. She goes back to work. Later on, she comes home. His car is still in the driveway. The house is dark. She opens up the front door. She sees a little bit of light from the bedroom door. She goes down. She opens the bedroom door, and there he is, shivering under a blanket and sweating. She goes, "What's the matter, hon? What's the matter?" He says, "It finally happened, just like you said. I crapped my guts out." He put up his hand with his first 2 fingers, and he goes, "By the grace of God, these 2 fingers, I got them all back in."
I've run in a series. There have been 4 or 5, if my memory serves me correct, from this gentleman whose name is apparently, I hope I don't really mangle this, but I'm not terribly good with names like this. Kishmir N. Chuchaz Hareen, who is a PhD at a local university. And Kishmir writes, "Hopefully the wrist slapping that you received was valuable. My only regret is that I did not hear your big deal announcement on Friday. Are you leaving? Please don't toy with us." And that, of course, is signed Kishmir N. Chuchaz Hareen, PhD, who apparently is a professor in the Department of International Communications at an unnamed university. I, of course, am stunned that he does not teach rocket science. Kishmir, or Dr. Kishmir as the case may be, I rarely repeat things, but in your case, I'm going to make an exception. There are those who did stick around for what I said was a very, very important announcement on Friday at the end of the show after 7:45, and I will repeat what it was that, the exact words that were said. Perhaps, Kishmir, you would like me to give you a few seconds to start up an audio tape. I hope that was enough time for you, Kishmir. Kishmir apparently is one of the people that listens in particular after 7 o'clock on most nights, but unfortunately on Friday night he was not able to. Probably had an important meeting with his fellow academians. Kishmir, this is precisely, exactly what was said.
This town needs an enema.
It is 7:23.
Weeknights from 8 to 10.
I would have really thought that Kishmir would have been probably the dean of the rocket science school. But I'm wrong about that, apparently.
Well, you never know.
What was that, international?
He may be aspiring to that particular...
The Department of International Communications. How lucky we are here in Florida to have towers of intellect such as Kishmir teaching our Florida sons and daughters.
International communications.
Yes.
I believe
yes, and he has communicated with me 4 or 5 times.
Internationally, even?
No, email.
Well,
I suppose he could be
the World Wide Web.
He could be listening on the web, and
that is the World Wide Web.
Being employed at the University of Baghdad or something. But I think he's probably local.
Very well.
We always try to get the best talent for our schools here in Florida.
Especially here in Tampa. Weeknights from 8 to 10.
I'll bet Kishmir invites a lot of his students to not only listen to the show, but to call it.
After 7.
His better students.
Marvelous Marvin does a radio program here from 8 to 10 weeknights.
I understand Kishmir loves it.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I guess I need to upgrade my international communication.
As a matter of fact, it might have been Kishmir himself who started the infamous bag of worms.
Oh, it could have been.
Could have been.
Very well. If it wasn't.
I mean, I've got a box of snakes. That show has a bag of worms.
If it wasn't, it was one of his top students.
Mm-hmm.
Because every weeknight.
I wonder what would happen if you dialed 1-800-for-worms.
I don't know. Let's try it.
Light me up, baby.
If you're there.
Probably not enough. 4 W-O.
It's enough.
M-S. Yeah, no, it's only 6.
1-800-4-WORM.
Well, I did the number 4. So let me drop this.
I'm going to see if we can get you one of those big number.
It would help a lot.
Here.
Oh, no.
The number for the talk line is 1-473-473-7373. International long distance rates apply. That number again is 1-473-473-7373. Thank you.
1-800-4-WORM.
I don't know. I think Marvin ought to follow up on that. Yes, it's some 800 number now. I mean, what the hell? It won't cost them anything. It'll be a couple of months before management figures it out. It's always, explain to him about asking forgiveness instead of permission. And just dial that baby, and you can get a whole show out of it. You might get a couple of shows out of it. What does he care if it's $15 a minute, or something like that?
That's true.
Exactly. Let's go to Kathy on his cell phone. Hi, Kathy. You're on the air 970 WFLA.
Well, thank you. I dialed 1-800-4-WORMS, and I got you.
Oh, Kathy.
I'm sorry.
Kathy. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, and remember, if these questions aren't challenging enough, we'll just go on to one until we reach one that is. If your house was on fire, what would you run inside to save?
My children.
Your children. What a good answer, Kathy.
I mean, that's a good mother answer, is it not?
Yes, indeed it is.
Now, listen, may I break your heart or not particularly?
Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
This is truly a phone call for management endorsement. I'm breaking your heart, I know. But I usually surf the channel this time of night because I do a lot of windshield time.
And you couldn't find anything more challenging for you than this show.
No, I finally heard some content, and I'm very pleased. I just wanted to pass it along.
Well, Kathy, I'm very glad that you dialed and got worms. 990 WFLA in Hillsboro. Kathy got what she was dialing for. 1-800, that's 990-WFLA, 990-WFLA in Hillsborough. I don't know that anybody has ever called this show that got what they were really looking for but Kathy. In Pinellas, actually, if you really want to know the truth, I think she came to the table already with the 461-WFLA in Pinellas, and since I keep wanting to give the 1-800 number, our toll-free line, 1-800-969-WFLA, and, I'm just sitting here trying to think when a caller set me up better. The toll-free, the wireless thing.
The number is pound 970.
One more time, Mama.
The number is pound 970.
I know for certain I'm going to get that big numbered phone in here soon. This big red one with white numbers.
You have dialed a number that is not available from your calling area.
What do you mean it's not available? What would that mean?
Means you might want to try another line.
But it's an 800 line.
I know, but don't use those first four lines.
You have dialed a number that is not available from your calling area.
But how can an 800 line not be available?
I don't know.
From my calling area.
Then maybe, this area has 1-800-4-CRABS.
Let's try this one.
Might be 1-888. Oh, nailed again.
You have dialed a number that is not available from your...
Well, that was the hotline I was using. And they have a block on that one, and you have a block on all the others. Well, we'll just have to wonder who has 1-800 for crabs.
Try 188.
Well, it's not the same thing.
It's a toll-free number. It is the same thing.
I know that, but it's not. It's psychologically, it is not the same thing. I mean, 1-800 for worms, 1-800 for snakes. That's amusing. 1-888 for crabs is not amusing. See, that's why I have the show and you don't.
It's a toll-free number.
I know it's a toll-free number, but psychologically, it's just not as funny.
River.
Not that 1-800 for crabs is funny, but 1-888 for crabs is a hell of a lot less funnier. I mean, for example, when we dialed, 1-800 for snakes, that was funny. But dialing 1-888 for snakes is not funny. Didn't you have a liner?
Speaking of that, Mark Larson. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11:30.
Talk about 1-800 for crabs.
Not available for
which we were. We were talking about 1-800 for crabs, and that it just doesn't register. Jack on his cell phone. Hi, Jack. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Robert, I think you may have been had by your email. That sounds like Yiddish. Your signature sounds like Yiddish. Kishmir and Tuchas. Does that ring a bell?
Well, except there's more to the name than that.
I understand that, but I think he had you, and it's Kishmir and Tuchas. In Yiddish is kiss my ass.
No.
Yes.
No.
I think he nailed you a little bit there.
I'll be damned. Oh, well. Well, you ready to try and, come up with a question that challenges you?
Go for it.
If you could only listen to one more song for the rest of your life, which song would it be?
Ouch.
And if that's not challenging enough, we can go on.
One more song for the rest of my life. Rock Around the Clock.
Rock Around the Clock. Okay. An excellent song. The original version by Bill Haley?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Bill Haley and the...
Comets.
And the Comets. And what was one of Bill Haley's traits? Kind of a trademark type of thing.
You got me there. Was he jumping up and down when he was...
No, it was the curl. He had one curl coming down right in the middle of his forehead.
Well, I don't remember back that far, although I'm old enough to do so.
Well, thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you.
Take care. There goes Jack. 990 WFLA in Hillsborough and Pinellas. 461 WFLA. Are you trying that number on that line? Are you dialing 1-800 for crabs on that line? Oh, good.
No, I was not. I was dialing another.
I just don't understand what that message means, that it's not available in your calling area.
Or FOR. I need a big number.
Oh, I know what it might be. It could be, like a Utah 800 number that only works in Utah. Or, wherever it might be. It could be one of those situations. Connie in Dunedin. Hi, Connie. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent,
Now, I'm the only one authorized to dial that AAA for crabs, and I did call the number, and I ordered myself some beautiful crabs for dinner tonight.
Well, okay, Connie.
I wanted to just touch bases with you on that very first question that came up in the beginning of the show. I know that you are brilliant enough that you could take that topic and make it last for a very long time, and not only last, but be at a Bob Lassiter standard.
I am more brilliant than that. I am so brilliant, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I really think that all fairness, fair is fair. Some of those topics are fairly good, and with a Lassiter touch, they'd be dynamite.
You're right, Connie. Most of them are fairly good.
No. Most of them are very, very poor, but there's a few of them that I think you could save. So
for example, which ones?
Well, I think the first one about the extramarital sex.
Right. If you cheat, do you love your mate?
For example, we have had an entire year around that subject, all over 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cable channels all over the United States.
Well, I don't think that Bill watches or listens to the show or
what
watches
I'm trying to say is, so the topic has the potential, and Bob Lassiter has the brilliance to make a couple of those come alive and be wonderful.
Oh, you flatter me to no end, Connie.
Okay, bye.
Well, you don't want to go through the...
No, I just wanted to let you know that I think you're brilliant. You could make some of those very, very attractive. Goodbye.
Good.
You could try 1-800 the crabs.
It's not as funny as
1-800 the crabs. It is too.
Hi, and thank you for calling Sign of the Crab. If you know the extension of the person you are trying to reach, please press it now. For a directory, press 5. If you'd like to place an order with our automated answering system with your touch-tone phone, press 1. To speak directly with someone in the sales department, press 2. To speak directly with someone in the claims department, press 3. Credit or accounting, press 4. If you'd like to speak with a receptionist, press 0. If you do not have a touch-tone phone, please stay on the line and someone will be with you directly. Thank you.
I'll transfer you now.
Oh, so you gotta go run them through the whole thing. Yeah, a little on-hold music.
Let's go to Mike on his cell phone. Hi, Mike. You're on the air 970 WFLA.
Sir Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well, and the only reason I ask that is because I know how much you like it when people ask you how you doing.
That's true.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that gets tonight's show, but I really wish you'd go back to being your regular self.
What do you mean you're the only one that gets tonight's show?
Everybody's calling up. They're like, yeah, ask me a question. Gosh, this is great.
Well, that's what they were told to do.
I know, but I still don't like it. I'd rather you go back. Maybe you can harsh my mellow right now. Because I like the old Bob. I like the Bob who's, like, angry, argumentative, vindictive. That's the Bob I like, and that's why I listen to your show.
God, you're making me angry.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, if you want to ask me a couple of questions.
Well, sure.
Hey, great. I'm so happy that I can participate.
Okay. What was the worst vacation you ever had?
We're going to pass on that one.
Okay. Is there life on other planets?
We're going to pass on that one, too.
Okay. Who is more annoying, a yuppie or a redneck?
We're going to pass on that one, too.
Okay. Should a law be passed mandating that mothers of very young children have to stay at home and raise them?
We're going to pass there, too. Although you could make a show out of that question.
Isn't it possible that the remaining MIAs in Vietnam want to be there? I mean, after all, not all the troops were exactly model citizens in the good old USA.
We're going to pass there, too.
Okay. The KKK. Does it have a right to exist? Don't racists have the same constitutional rights as the rest of us?
Gee, what a delightful question, but we're going to pass there, too.
What is the best method for controlling roaches and fleas? You think I'm kidding? These are legitimate questions.
Oh, man. That's classic. And they want you to make a show out of that?
Well, I guess you don't want that. Let me go into another one. On one hand, nobody goes to church anymore. On the other hand, the line between church and state's getting very blurry. What gives?
I'm going to pass there, too.
Okay.
How many of these did they give you?
There are a couple of hundred of them.
Oh.
Don't look now, but Japan is buying out America. How do you feel about that?
I can answer that question.
Oh, okay. We got to one that piques your interest. Okay.
Yeah, in today's world, Bob, it's the exact opposite. The U.S. economy is actually at a much stronger rate than the Japanese economy. So what's actually happening is U.S. corporations are going over to Japan, and they're actually buying property there. And the Japanese, for the past several years, have been selling their property here.
So that's how you feel about that? Well, okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye.
Oh, geez, we're starting to run out of time. There were so many good ones here. If a cure might be found that would save your life, what's the matter with testing the theory on a few white mice? Does talk radio stir up hate? Do you think the world will be a better or a worse place 100 years from now? Here's one I really love. If there was a gun being held to your head and you were being forced to have a homosexual relationship, with whom would you have it? If you could live 1,000 years, would you want to? If you could trade places with anyone in the world, would you do it? And with whom would you swap?
That, and I agree. He kind of he took me by surprise for sure. How come nobody's talking about the old Jack Wheeler anyway? When you're talking about your I haven't heard him mentioned all day.
Have you seen his show?
No, you're kidding.
Oh, that's right. You're in
You're in Hillsborough. He has a show.
No, you're kidding me.
On Paragon and Vision Cable over in Pinellas County from 7:30 till 9
You're
every
kidding
morning.
me. I gotta see it.
Oh, man, it would be worth driving over there and renting a motel room.
What does he do? Is it interview?
What does he do? He begs, he pleads, he does 9-minute commercials. Oh, God, the day I turned it in, he was trying to do open phones. And he had only allotted a half hour for the open phones, and it just wasn't working. It just was not working. So, for no rhyme or reason under the sun, we there. What do you think about the president? What do you think about... give me a call. What do you think about restaurants? What do you think about... give me a call. He's not getting any calls. He's gone through like 15 minutes of this. You can see the sweat starting to build on his forehead.
God.
For no rhyme or reason, he bends down. You know, this is television. He's got apparently a lavalier mic on, I guess it was. But you can hear all of the noise of the mic rubbing up against, the shirt and everything. And on top of that, his pants must have been a tad too tight. I shall do my best in radio to recreate this grand moment of broadcast history. Oh, I've got something down here. Boom. And sets down it was a wooden board. It looked like a chopping block.
What?
Yes, and then pulls out a handful of what he referred to as sushi on feet. There were little plastic things that looked like sushi that had those little feet under the bottom of them, wind-up toys. So he winds them all up, and he says, you got to see these. My wife picked them up in San Francisco. Excuse me. Oh, my wife picked them up in San Francisco. They're really funny. Watch these. Winds them up, puts them on the board. They all run off the board. The board guy trying to run the camera, I assume it's a guy. It might have been a woman. The person trying to run the camera is going berserk trying to keep the camera on these things. They're all running off into different directions. Does this for like a minute and a half. Again, no explanation. Picks the thing up, puts it back underneath the desk, of course, with all the grunting and groaning associated and bending over. And goes back to open phones.
You're kidding me.
Oh, it was great, man.
This was some strange dream you had the other night.
No, man. Move to Pinellas County and watch Wheeler in the Morning. It is a fantastic show.
I've been fantasizing for months now of just what this guy's been doing. I see him, on a freight train somewhere. I just can't picture it. He's got a show.
Yes, he has a show.
Unbelievable.
On Channel 9, which is, of course, the Access channel. And it's just fantastic. Oh, yes, great controversial guests. Things like local stockbrokers who tout their firms and people who own gas stations. And, it's really great.
Thanks very much, Bob.
Watching. Thank you, Otto.
Bye-bye.
Bob. Unless Melissa is leaving today and they're having a little party downstairs. And decency lady who stopped by I was kind enough to bring up a piece of cake, and now I've got crumbs and stuff all over the console and icing in my beard. And how am I supposed to do a talk show under conditions like this?
I think that's very funny because most of your shows have been with this bashing and trashing and things like that.
That's what people like, bashing and trashing.
You enjoy bashing and trashing?
Oh, love it.
I know the gentlemen that call in seem to enjoy it very much.
Oh, yes, they do.
And you didn't have the percentage of women that have called you has not been as many as the men callers.
Well, women are more polite.
Women are more... Yes. Is that why you hung up on a grandmother?
Well, I do that for ratings, Kathleen. I do it for ratings. It breaks my heart. It's the same woman. She's on the payroll. And she calls in and screams and shouts rude things to me, and then I scream and shout back at her and call her a subhuman pig and hang up on her. The whole thing's a put on.
Oh, it is a put on.
Of course not.
Because a lot of the programs I listened to that you had, it made me kind of upset. In fact, I had started turning over to WTKN.
Oh, my God, that's upset.
Yeah, and I happened to turn your show on today and found out about everything that was happening.
Oh, Bob.
Hello, Sly.
You can hear me? I got the Tampa Mafia spreading cement behind me here.
Oh, my goodness, you're kidding.
Yeah, you really provoked me.
Oh, no, what's the matter, man?
You telling me Sam McClellan is put on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he's a well-known leftist.
He's got pinpoint pupils, I'll bet you.
No, man, he's a well-known leftist. He just desperately wants to be in talk radio.
He came from an Amway rally. You kidding me? That airbrain.
He's a leftist who just desperately wants to be in talk radio, and he thought his best shot would be as a conservative.
Airbrain, dildo breast sparrow fart hasn't had a decent thought in his head since Nixon resigned. Are you kidding me?
No, I can't buy it.
It's all put on, man. It's all put on.
Put on. No, what's this? Love Your Enemas week?
No.
I liked what you said there earlier on. You know, you gotta know them. You know, like a Tim Cole's clone or something like that. Yeah.
No, Cole's is for real. Sam isn't.
Cole's is for real. It's sad that there's people like that are still able to walk around, you know. But also, Fowler, I'm glad he's off the air. And I hope that I had something to do with it. I provoked him asking about panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a has-been, would-be artist. And artists have to suffer, and artists have to be very honest. And he's, best he could do is feed paddling to old ladies. I mean, really, he was good. He was fairly good. I really appreciated some of the bits that he did.
Yeah.
But, no, he's just an arrogant has-been. Yeah.
Really?
He's gone.
Well, why do you say that?
He's gone. He's a has-been. He never made it, never would, never will. And I hope you work on your list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try.
I did a lot for Baba Waba.
That's true, Sly.
All you need is a rich Jew to back you up there.
Well, Sly, there is one thing, though, that you should keep in mind.
What?
I got the job. Excuse me for Sam. 461-9352 in Pinellas. Dan in Tampa. Dan, you're on the air, WFLA.
Yeah, how's it going?
Great, Dan.
I'm not a long-time listener, and it's the first time I have called you. I just wanted to call and tell you you're doing a hell of a job.
First-time listener, long-time caller, right?
No, definitely not long time.
Okay.
I just bought a car with AM radio only.
Yeah.
And it's kind of stuck on this station.
Well, fantastic.
And so I started listening to it, and I tell you what, you got a hell of a lot to say.
Tune it in and rip the knob off.
I like what you got to say. As far as what the last caller had to say, I think he's a derelict. That's probably why he don't like Fowler. Fowler is sarcastic, but I mean, I hate to see him go, even though I've just started listening.
Should hasten to point out he did have the time to sit home and call today. I wonder why.
Excuse me?
We should point out that he did have the time to sit home and call today. The last caller.
Yeah, I took the time, as a matter of fact. I've never been on hold that long in my life to talk to you, but like I say, it's the first time I've ever called any kind of, even to request or whatever it may be.
A better night guy.
Yeah, I like you better at night.
Nah, we don't work nights anymore.
That's right, or Saturday.
No, we're afraid of the boogeyman. That's why we won't work nights anymore.
This changes something you want, and I can understand going from 4 hours to 3. No one should have to do 4, but why the 3 to 6? What's appealing about that?
What's appealing to me about that, personally? The later in the day, the better I work. It takes me an ungodly amount of time to get my brain working in the morning. And just the later in the day, the better it is for me.
But you don't want evening.
No.
Okay. Something I wanted to say about Fowler, and I know all of what we're saying means nothing because I've been listening all day, and of course there has been an opinion, pro and con, and everything in between about everybody. I can understand that maybe he just can't do it anymore. What bothers me is that there was not a statement to the audience or a goodbye. I felt like I was just getting to know the guy. I didn't listen to him on the other station.
I have no reason to suspect that on his last program, which was a Friday, that he had made anywhere near a decision to that effect.
Oh, really?
I have no reason. I talked to him Sunday, and he told me what he was going to do on Monday. And somewhere between Sunday afternoon and Monday morning, he obviously made a decision.
Then I feel like it diminishes the respect I had for him somewhat. I mean, I know there are all kinds of circumstances I don't understand, but to just not come in, it seems like he could have even come in for 10 minutes to say what he was doing, to just show up and give us something, and that has bothered me. And Sam is I really don't want to see Dick back, but he's so much better as a representative of the right than Sam. Sam's an embarrassment. He's not even worthy of being on the radio, and at least Dick is intelligent and well read, and you may.
Well, I don't know. I think Sam is a great entertainer.
I disagree. Well, I guess for some, but not for me. I just find him embarrassing to be on there. And
come on, Sandy. I mean, all I got to do is listen to the guy for 10 minutes, and I've got material for a show. I mean, I want Sam. I want Sam.
Well, maybe for 10 minutes.
I want Sam.
For 10 minutes, all right. And with Liz, I'm scared to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. All the bashing that she's received, I kept having the feeling that, listening to her this week, some of what she says is not that different from what you say. It's just that you have other topics, too. She seems to have one. But she is bright, and there is something to what she says. And I
There's quite a bit to what she says.
And you would agree with a lot of it. But
what people don't quite seem to understand insofar as Liz or anybody else who does this on a part-time basis and does it on an emergency basis is that I have 24 hours a day to devote to my program. Whether or not I do is besides the point. I have it available to me. I don't earn a living doing something else. This is what I do for a living. Well, a Sam or a Liz Richards or anyone else that works on a part-time basis has another job, has another life, and they don't have the time to devote to it.
Well, I think she got better as the week went on. I give her a lot of credit, especially this morning. Did you hear that? No phones and
Yes, I did as I was frantically going through my library looking for a book to read on the air.
Okay, I really felt sorry for the woman, and I think that's tough to do. Maybe people thought that call.
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
Yeah, horrible. And that call to her mother was sort of corny, but in a way I found it interesting. And I mean, she had to do something, and I think she handled it real well. And I thought it was especially interesting when the management came on, and Sue and what's his name may have been his
what's his name, Dave? What's his name?
Dave.
You ought to see how it's spelled. Then you'd say, Dave, what's his name?
They were great. As I say, I don't care if what they say is true.
A lot of J's and C's and K's in it.
What is that, Polish or Greek or?
I think it's a joke.
I
think this is a conspiracy on the part of J-Corps. They have made this man's last name impossible to read just to goof on us. It's probably Jones.
Oh, well, I've got my 2 cents in. And, wait. The most important thing happened today. Again, you blew my diet. There I was at I'm on the road all day.
Sure, blame it on me, Sandy.
Exactly. Stopped for a Diet Pepsi, wheeled around, ready to flip it open, and what did I spot but Tasty Cakes? Those things that you've been talking about. I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. Bob loved it. It was the worst tasting piece of garbage. I'm embarrassed.
Well, wait a second. What kind did you get?
I looked them all over, trying to remember the kind you said were the very best.
Chocolate Tasty Cakes.
Well, this had chocolate, just a veneer of chocolate icing on the top that was nasty tasty.
And it was a yellow cake?
White cake.
White cake.
White cake. Well, maybe it was yellow with cream filling. The cream filling was okay.
Oh, yuck. That does sound awful.
Wait. If I gather the courage to do this again, what should I get?
Chocolate Tasty Cakes or the lemon pie or apple pie.
I didn't see any pies. This was the Circle K out in the boot. I'm in...
Chocolate Tasty Cakes, cold milk.
All right. I'll give it one more chance, and I've got to figure out a taping system for you so I can listen next week.
Thank
you. Goodbye.
I'm sorry. And then another thing, I don't know. Actually, I should probably get on your case here. I'm tired of hearing about Tasty Cakes, for one thing.
Well, it's because you don't know how good they are.
I wouldn't.
You knew how good they were. You wouldn't talk about anything else either.
There's a lot of things in this life that are good, but who wants to sit around talking about them,
Well, there's good and then there's good. If you were really into Tasty Cakes, if you truly knew about Tasty Cakes, you wouldn't be able to talk about anything else either.
And then you got wrestling. I mean, what are you trying to... I can realize why your ratings are so good. You're appealing to all the latent homosexuals out there and all the gearheads.
Wait, latent homosexuals watch wrestling?
Anybody that would get into watching that buffoonery wrestling, you got to... The only appeal there is to...
what's a macho guy like you watch?
Out there are going to get mad.
Well, what's a macho guy like you watch, Obi?
I don't watch a lot of TV.
What do you watch, the Brady Bunch?
No, I like Andy Griffith.
Oh, not surprised. Yeah.
Andy Griffith. Fun to watch.
Yeah, just because you can't figure out the rules to wrestling, I appreciate that it's complicated to watch. But just because you can't figure out the rules to it, there's no reason to knock other people who...
And I'm sure you don't even like
call them
wrestling. You're
latent homosexuals.
Trying to appeal to a wider audience. Trying to get all these hicks and dummies down here to...
If you want big ratings in this market, you got to appeal to the hicks and the dummies.
And as far
if you don't believe that, listen to Q10 Jive.
Yeah, it sure does work there, and that's what you're doing. You're getting cutting into their market. That's
yes, I am. That's right. By talking about professional wrestling.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to run them out of town.
So you're agreeing with me. I did strike a chord there. I'm right on that.
Oh, yeah.
And another thing, as far as you're talking about Norman, you're kind of bashing him because of his voice. And this guy, a couple of calls are right before me. He had a pretty... I used to listen to Fowler, and I'd never listened to Norman, and I thought, God, yeah, who would listen? That guy's voice is terrible. But it's like he said, you kind of acquire it in Fowler after a while. You get, he's probably a nice guy, but the poor guy is really screwed up. Jeez, I don't know. I hope he's not listening. I don't mean anything personally against him.
Screwed up? How do you mean that?
Well, he is. He's always saying that. He's saying, like, one Saturday morning, he's going, oh, boy, you should have been listening last Saturday. It was really snappy. Everything was really... And he said the same thing. I remembered it verbatim the previous Saturday. And here he's always pulling the same shtick. And it's like he's so in love with his own voice. He's repeating things. He's kind of like... I like Lionel. But Lionel does that, too. He uses about 8 words for, one where it could have taken 2 words, But... Fowler, he doesn't even do that. He just uses the same 8 words and goes over and over again, And he has the same thing about, oh boy, all these callers are terrible, and if you had something to say, he goes, that's boring. And like, I actually tell you the thing that really kind of got me, I like talk radio, and I was listening one Saturday morning, and it was even out of character for him. Some old guy called up and was talking about, what do you call these inspection stations? And Fowler went and said, you mean to tell me you're an old man, you haven't got much time left in this short life that there is anyway, and that's all you can come up with. And, and here he's always saying open lines. This poor old guy calls, and I mean, to me, I thought that was a kind of a despicable thing to do. And I never listened to him again after that. A lot of times I kind of keep going back to talk radio, pushing it, I want to hear it, but I never even touched it then. And as far as Sam Magoo goes, he is the pits. I think everybody else has said that too. And what you're saying is probably true. I almost think you're right. Then again, I know you're not. That he's pulling everybody's legs. It's the only way the guy, he is stupid, like what the Indians did. He's saying, oh, we brought him out of the Stone Age. This guy is, either he's retarded or he is pretty sharp, and he's doing it to stir up controversy.
Yeah, he's a total put on.
I kind of think you might be right.
He's really he's almost an extreme left-wing radical.
Oh, boy, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess you are putting everybody on by saying that. And as far as Liz Richards or Bitchards or whatever, she had some guy on, and I don't know if she doesn't know how to work the dials or something, but she had a guy, Peppy, on here a few mornings. Hey, here's a pretty interesting call. All of a sudden, Peppy's gone. She never said boo to him. What happened? I don't know if she just cuts guys off because she doesn't know how to work the dials. And the next call she had was, an empty dial tone. She goes, oh, boy, I'm sorry I cut Peppy off now. If you get a good caller, I think you should have the instincts to... I could see being rude, but at least if you got a good caller, you ought to leave the guy talk for 30 seconds.
And if you don't have a good caller?
Do what you're going to do to me.
This weekend, something really...
Oh, great, Jim.
I'd like to talk about Cheryl Brown.
Cheryl Brown, okay.
Yeah, I'd like to make love to her breasts one at a time, but I can't because she doesn't have any. And the other day, Tasty Cakes?
Yeah.
Well, we were over here yesterday, and we were very high on marijuana, and we went out and bought a plethora of Tasty Cakes. And they really suck, Bob. They're terrible. I have to tell you, you had an opinion of 10.
Ed Hardley. Is this you, Ed Hardley?
Ed Hartley.
Yeah, Ed Hardley.
No, this is Elvis.
All right. Obviously a jerk. I apologize for that.
Today that was kind of important because I think if I bought your radio station, I'd make a few changes. You want to hear them?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, we'd start the day a little earlier than 9 o'clock with talk. We'd start from 8 o'clock until 10 a.m. with Richard Shanks, and the purpose there being so that the commuters can nap on their way to work. I think that's real important. And then from 10 to noon, let's get Tim Coles for Social Security counseling. And,
oh, dear.
And the daily, the commies are coming update.
Oh, dear.
Okay? And then let's keep you from noon to 4 so that you can translate what just happened from 8 until noon.
Well, you're giving me much, much more credit than I deserve.
Oh, well, I think you can handle it, Bob. Let's see, after that, then it gets a little sticky, but I really think that Liz Richards ought to be on daily from 4 to 6 because then she'll catch all the female commuters on their way home and explain to them how unfair their male-dominated workforce is to them. And she might also want to talk about, you know, wrestling and things like that. Let's see, now we're up to 6 o'clock. Okay, how about Ted Webb and Gail Searns together from 6 until 8 for sports wrap-up and marriage counseling? Does that sound okay?
Half and half. I can go with a marriage counseling, but he clearly knows nothing about sports.
Well, maybe Gail can teach him something about sports.
Maybe Liz could teach him something about sports.
Could be, could be. Now, but I think there's one more thing that you have to do.
She's quite a sport.
Pardon me?
She's quite a sport.
She's got to be after today. After 8 o'clock, you really need an after 8 show.
An after 8 show, yeah.
With either Dick Norman or Dave Fowler, depending on who chooses to show up.
Excuse me, I just choked on my coffee there.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You should hold up your hand, though, before you're going to say something like that in the future.
Okay. Well, I just finished a tasty cake, too, so, you know, having trouble with the old belt buckle
What
here.
the hell is this? Why are people dumping on tasty cakes today? I don't quite understand this. What's the matter with you people?
After the full moon, I think we have to stock up and get ready for the next crazy round.
Damn Twinkies, people?
I don't understand it either. Hey, could you get rid of those traffic updates and let Gary McHenry get a real job?
But it is a real job.
I know, but the poor guy, I mean, it's dangerous, and he only gets to talk a little bit every so often.
That's all he's able to do. Gary, if you knew him in real life, only talks in 45-second bursts once every 10 minutes.
Is that right?
It's true.
Socially as well?
Socially, unsocially, any way you want to look at it.
Oh, dear. Well, listen, Bob, I hope that you wrote these things down. I hope that your new management was listening because I think that this would really help to turn WFLA into something, not quite sure what, but something.
Well, it would certainly be the talk of Tampa Bay.
I think so.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, Bob. Bye-bye.
7:52 the time. Frank in Lakeland High at 7:52. How did I get that from? It's 3:52. Frank in Lakeland. Hi, Frank. You're on the air at WFLA.
It's 3:52, Bob.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why is it 7:52.
Well, it's those damn tasty cakes. You got them on your mind.
I tell you, you can make fun of my dog. You can make fun of me, but you guys are really pushing today on the tasty cakes.
Yeah, I heard a commercial about them. I told you I didn't like it. I never tried it before. I heard a commercial. I turned the radio on this morning on some channel, and they advertised tasty cakes. And I said, damn, I'm going to have to get me some of those. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get some tasty cakes somewhere. I don't know where yet, but I'm going to find some.
Well,
Check it out.
It would do you well to pursue them.
But anyway, the reason I called was, the reason I listen to talk radio, and especially WFLA, is that people, Norman, yourself, and Ted Webb, when you come on the radio, when you have a topic, you know your facts.
Jacob in Clearwater. Jacob, is it really and truly you?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Oh, it really and truly is. I would recognize that voice anywhere. Jake, how you doing, baby?
Well, I should hope you would recognize my voice, since I've become quite the media star outside of this market.
Outside of the market? How's that?
Well, as you know, I have taken my show on the road.
You've taken your show on the road?
That is correct.
Well, no, I didn't know that, Jake. Where are you playing these days?
I have been traveling all over this country, Mr. Lassiter. I've been, conducting prayer meetings in a movable tent all over this country.
You and Irma?
Yes, we have.
What, she plays the piano or something, and you give the message?
She plays an organ, Mr. Lassiter.
Well, Jacob, we don't want to get, overly
To what are you referring?
overly personal here, Jacob.
That is true.
You finally got her over that fear, huh?
Fear of?
Playing the organ.
She never had a fear. She's been rather good at it.
Oh, really?
She's been at it for many, many years, Mr. Lassiter.
Many, many years. I thought you said she was inexperienced when she came to you.
In organ playing?
I thought in virtually every aspect of life.
Certain aspects which I do not wish to go into, Mr. Lassiter.
Well, for example?
Well, for those who are new listeners, and you rather delight in making fun of the fact that my young and lovely wife was a virgin, as was I, when we married, the holy sacrament of marriage. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, you're the one that was referring, Jacob. I asked you to be more specific, and if you would like me to discuss your sex life with Irma, I could do that.
No, I do not want you to discuss that. I've listened to this show. Some people made tapes of this show, and I see that you're reverting back to your sex, your satanic sex shows, if you will.
Well, Jacob, let me ask you this. Does it make any difference to Irma whether she's playing a large organ or, sort of a smaller one, a compact?
We have a portable that travels with us.
You have a portable that travels. What would you do? Pick that up at one of those adult novelty shops or something?
No, we purchased it at a music store.
At a music store?
What are you referring to, Mr. Lassiter? Here you go again with your twisted mind in the gutter type of deal.
Uh-huh.
Now, this has no place on this radio. I've said many times you are a disgrace to humanity. You are.
Have you cheated on Irma yet?
Cheated on her?
Yeah.
For instance, when we're playing bingo or something, or what are you referring to?
Well, you mean during bingo games you get up from the table and go out into the hall and fool around?
I do not. We play bingo frequently.
Well, Jacob, remember how when you were betrothed to Irma, you sat on this very show just about a year ago, auditioning young ladies who called in and tried to tempt you?
The only thing I was auditioning
over an hour?
The only thing I was auditioning them for was to come to my religion.
Come to your religion?
Now whether you construed another...
Is that a king-size religion or just, a standard double religion?
I would say a king-size king of peace, sir.
A king-size king of peace. There you go, bragging about your, naughty parts again.
Mr. Lassiter, it is a well-known fact that you do have penis envy. And, I have suggested psychological help. I've given you countless hours of psychological
Jacob,
help free of charge.
Why in the name of whoever would you say that I have penis envy?
Because every time I speak to you, sir, you bring up this subject. Now, it's one of two things. Either you're a homosexual, which I, quite frankly, do believe you are, or you mention my manhood.
Well, that's because you used to come on the show and brag about it. You're big salami, remember?
I have never, sir.
You've never what?
I have never bragged about any type of anatomy.
Jacob, when you were pushed and asked, is it a large salami or is it, more like a wiener, you said it was a large salami.
When we were discussing cold cuts, sir, you have this propensity every time I call to...
Jacob, you and I have never discussed cold cuts. You know it as well as I do. Don't fib, Jacob.
Oh, yes, we have, because there you go again with salami, etc.
Well, how's Irma anyway, huh?
Irma is fine. As a matter of fact, I interrupted my my lunch here that Irma was making me.
Did you ever let Irma in that room yet? The room where you go in and strange noises are heard?
Oh, yes, she goes in there to clean, run the sweeper, this type of thing.
Oh, you do let her in there now?
Yes,
well, that's
I do.
Good. How's your collection of girly books?
I don't have collections of girly books, Mr. Lassiter.
You gave them away?
Mr. Lassiter, I do not have a collection of girly books. Now,
when did you give them away?
If you want to drag this down into the sewer, sir, if you want to drag this conversation into the sewer...
Jacob, I seem to recall that even it was the last time or the time before last, you more or less indicated that the girly book collection was in that room that you wouldn't let Irma go into. You know, the one they used to spend several hours a day in with a door locked?
Now, you have someone calling today playing tapes, etc. Now, you produce the tape that says that I have these obscene materials in my home, sir, and I will give you $2 million.
Well, Jacob, unlike the gentleman that you refer to, I am not obsessed with you, so I don't keep tapes. But I have a fairly good recollection, Jacob. You didn't have the girly books in that room?
No, I do not.
Well, where do you keep them?
I would never look at such things, Mr. Lassiter.
Jacob, now wait a second, Jacob. You admitted you used to.
Do you have X-rated tapes, sir?
Jacob, you admitted that you used to buy girly books, remember?
When I was 15 or 16 years old, that was another life, sir.
Funny, it used to be 17 and 18. Now it's back to 15 and 16. Maybe it was a little more like 27 and 28.
It was not.
Or 29 and 30.
I can assure you it was not. By that time, my gifts of healing had been forthright.
So you're traveling around the country healing people now, huh, Jake?
That is correct.
Well, let's see. On this program, you healed someone's breasts, and then you also laid hands upon someone with an impotency problem, as I recall.
That's quite possible. Both of which are my specialties.
So you're traveling around the country helping people with impotency and breast pain,
among other things. Yeah, you could say that.
How is the impotency business?
It is fine. It is good. You wouldn't believe the number of people suffering from that satanic.
Up and coming, would you say, Jacob?
Yes, it is.
I see. You have great success with this.
It's an up-and-coming market, Mr. Lassiter.
Mm-hmm. How does it go with the breast healing?
You know, I've traveled all over this country. I've seen many people, many women, part women, many women, many men, and I would have to say that breast aches and pains are one of the are at the top of the list.
Right there at the top of the list, followed closely, I'm sure, by impotency.
That is correct.
Which do you prefer to lay hands on?
I don't prefer either one, Mr. Lassiter.
Either one, you go both ways.
Both ways? What do you mean?
Well, it doesn't make any difference to you.
No, it doesn't make any difference.
So you go both ways.
When people come up to me and state that they have certain medical problems, it doesn't
Jacob,
matter to me.
Do you find that many men come up to you just on the street and ask you to lay hands upon them?
On the street, rarely, but occasionally, yes.
When was the last time a gentleman came up to you and asked you, just to lay hands on him?
Well,
are you hanging out at that park in Clearwater a lot?
I've been to several parks in Clearwater. Why?
Oh, really?
Yes,
I see. Do you take Irma with you when you go to the park, or do you kind of go by yourself?
Well, sometimes I like to take walks, and she will wait in the car.
And she will wait in the car, especially at Crest Lake Park, I assume.
We've been there many times.
Many times. Round about, let's say sunset or so?
Are you trying to make a date, Mr. Lassiter?
No. Actually, I have plans for the evening and for tomorrow as well. I am free on Sunday, though.
Well, I'm glad that you have plans.
Jacob, would you like to lay hands on me?
No, I would not. You are beyond help, sir.
Beyond help? Why is that, Jacob?
You are in the pit of hell. You are the pit of hell.
And, besides, I'm 43 years old. I'm, somewhat overweight. I prefer, I would assume you prefer younger, slender men to lay hands on.
Are you impotent?
Am I impotent? No, not at the moment.
Does your wife have breast aches and pains?
Not that she's mentioned recently.
Well, then I would have no need to visit you.
You don't believe in preventative handling?
No, there's no such thing, Mr. Lassiter.
No such
handling
thing?
is beyond a science, sir.
Beyond a science? You mean it's become an obsession now?
It's always been an obsession. I've been gifted, sir.
You have been gifted? You mean you've been gifted by running into a lot of people who want you to lay hands on them?
No, I've been gifted with a certain gift in my hands. As a matter of fact, I cannot even hold it.
Well, who was the last person that put a gift in your hands, Jacob?
A gift?
Yes.
Well, I celebrated a birthday not too long ago, and
You did?
And Irma.
How did you celebrate?
What do you mean, how did I celebrate? Irma baked me a nice birthday cake.
Uh-huh.
In the shape of a cross. I'm sure you were interested to know.
Uh-huh.
And we went out for a evening stroll.
Does Irma really cook?
Yes, she does. She cooks almost all day long. That woman's in the kitchen.
You do it in the kitchen?
Yes, we do.
You're cooking with Irma in the
she
kitchen?
cooks in the kitchen, Mr. Lassiter.
Oh. How many times have you and Irma done it now? You've been married since what? I think it was May 22nd?
That is correct.
Let's see, that's June, July, August, September, October, a little over 5 months. How many times have you guys done it now?
How many times have we cooked? Well, she cooks about two meals per day.
2 times a day? My God, it took, almost, a week before she cooked once for you when you were married, right?
Well, we were celebrating on our honeymoon and such, so we did it in restaurants.
You did it in restaurants?
That's usually where you eat, Mr. Lassiter.
No, I was referring to, your husbandly duties and her wifely duties.
If you were speaking of the act of procreation.
Yeah, getting it on with Irma, right.
Procreation is the appropriate term, sir.
Well, most people refer to it as getting it on or things like that, doing it, that kind of stuff.
Most people who are heathens, like you, who do that saintly act out of for sheer pleasure, possibly. However, that act is only meant for one thing, and that's procreation. That's the only time it should ever be done for that purpose.
You don't get any pleasure out of it, Jacob? You just get pleasure out of laying your hands on people?
It is for procreation, sir.
Uh-huh.
And that's also behind closed doors and should not be talked about, especially on these airwaves.
But it's okay to lay hands on people down, at Crest Lake Park.
Whenever the mood strikes.
Whenever the mood strikes.
That is
Speaking of moods striking, has Irma been attacked by the devil recently?
Yes, she was. As a matter of fact, yes, she was. She was driving on her way from her job at a bookstore, Christian bookstore.
Well, wait a second. I thought Irma had quit that job to travel in the tent with you around the country.
She has since, but this was before. I haven't talked to you for quite a while.
No, it has been quite some time. That's true.
And she was driving home in my Pride and Joy, my car. And I've heard you speak of a Pride and Joy.
Uh-huh.
And she struck an object. This is I was not with her. She related to me that she struck something in the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
She thought it was a dog, got out of the car, and it was a ape-like beast walking on 2 feet. And it was laying there by the road, and she, was of course concerned that she had injured it. And the beast got up and said, I'm all right, Mama, don't worry about me, and ran back into the woods.
I'm all right, Mama, don't worry about me. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And did she pursue the demon into the woods?
No, she did not.
She's changed her ways.
She intimated as such that it may have been Bigfoot. And
was Bigfoot? Was that the part of the anatomy that she actually spoke of?
No, she was referring to the creature that we read about frequently in the newspaper we get, the Weekly World News.
Uh-huh.
That it was Bigfoot, and could have possibly been Elvis in a Bigfoot costume.
It could have been Elvis in a Bigfoot costume, yeah.
And so she was very upset that the car had been wrecked when she came home, and this is what she. So.
Do you believe that Elvis is still alive, Jacob?
Yes, I do.
Why do you believe that?
Well, because he was the king of rock and roll.
But that's secular music. I would have thought that you would not have appreciated the king of rock and roll.
It's secular music if you want it to be secular music.
Don't you remember how he used to, shake those hips in a very suggestive way? Does Irma like to watch men doing that?
No, she does not.
Would you permit Irma to watch a man?
No, I would not, sir.
Well, then weren't you a little bit concerned when you found out that Irma knew about the king of rock and roll?
No, I was not, because we have since listened to his music, and there is a Christian message in his music.
A Christian message in his music? Well, I suspect I like a lot of other people, have missed that. What was that message?
Well, you just listened to his records, and we have since played tapes of his albums backwards, and there are specific references to Jesus in there.
When you play Elvis's records backwards, he talks about Jesus?
That's correct.
Do you and Irma often sit around playing records backwards?
Yes, we do. We have also played tapes of this show backwards in which you have referred to yourself as Satan. You have advocated the worship of Satan.
Backwards?
Yes.
Do you have any of those tapes handy?
Well, I'm not in my recording area right now.
You're not in your recording area. Were you calling from the bathroom again?
No, I'm not. I'm in the breakfast area.
In the breakfast area.
I interrupted this lunch here that Irma prepared.
Is Irma there?
Yes, she is.
Would Irma like to talk with us?
No, I don't think so. Not today.
Well, could you just holler hello in the background?
No, I don't think so.
Irma's not really there, is she, Jake?
Yes, she is.
Irma left you, didn't she, Jacob?
She did not, sir.
She's not there, Jacob.
Why would my wife leave me? Me, the gift from God.
I don't know. Maybe your salami's too big and it hurt her. I don't know. Or maybe
Mr. Lassiter.
maybe she was a little bit bummed out about all this laying on hands, you know?
She is not. She knows that I have been given a gift. And she's very understanding, and she knows.
Well, maybe she doesn't like you sharing the gift as much, you know what I mean?
What's that?
Maybe she'd like you to keep the gift in your pants, you know what I mean?
She would not.
Jacob, would you refuse a good, sincere person who wanted you to lay hands on them?
I would not.
Tammy in St. Petersburg. Tammy, say hello to Jacob.
Hello, Jacob.
Good afternoon, Tammy.
And how are you today?
I am fine.
I was wondering if, this is something you just do in the park or, if we could arrange some kind of meeting.
Do what, ma'am?
Lay hands on people.
Oh, no, I do this at my services frequently. I do wherever people are in need.
Do you come to people's houses or?
No, I do not.
Oh, you don't? Well, where could we get together for you to do this?
I am not permitted by law to give out any addresses, ma'am.
Well, how can I get with you then, Jacob?
Well, you'll just, I'm very well known in this area. You'll just have to ask around.
Well, Tammy, I recall one other time, several months ago, a young man with an impotency problem called up, and Jacob instructed him to lay the phone receiver in his lap, and Jacob...
Is that what it was?
Yes.
That is correct.
Perhaps, Jacob, if Tammy were to stuff the phone receiver in...
May I ask...
her undergarments or something.
May I ask what the problem is, Tammy?
Well, it's right around the chest area.
That would be fine to lay the phone near the chest.
Oh, it would be? Okay.
Can you possibly describe exactly what it is you're doing? It will help me.
Describe what I'm doing?
That is correct.
Well, you want me just to lay the phone on my chest?
And describe it, yes.
And describe?
Yes, describe what it is you're doing.
Describe my chest?
Yes.
Is that what you want me to do?
Yes.
Oh, this is disgusting. This is phone sex. This Jacob. Jacob, this amounts to phone sex. Jacob, this poor woman is sincere.
It only amounts to that if that's what you wanted in your perverted mind, sir.
Jacob, this is a sincere woman in pain. And you want her to describe herself over the phone so that you can sit there and fantasize about it?
I am trying to help, sir. If you would not get in the way, I'm trying to help this woman.
Go ahead, Tammy. Cradle the phone to your bosom.
Tammy?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Out, demons. Okay.
Any relief there, Tammy?
I think I'm feeling something.
You're feeling something. Some tingling in your naughty parts, perchance?
No, not exactly. It's just kind of a warm feeling.
I see. Well, Tammy, I hope that helps.
Gosh, it would have been nice to have it done in person, though, maybe you could get him
Well, sometimes that is more effective.
Yeah. Maybe you could get him to give a little more information about maybe where he's going to be practicing this gift Bob.
Well, Jacob, would you like us to have Tammy leave her address and maybe her phone number off the air so that
if that's what she would like to do, that would
you would like Tammy?
Would you call me, Jacob?
That would be fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Tammy, we'll put you on hold and oh brother, we've got to see what the laws are on Jacob, that it sounded a little bit strange the way you wanted her to.
Why did that sound strange?
Well, Jake, while I've never, of course, personally taken part in anything that might be described as telephone sex, that would surprise me. I've heard things and I've read things, and you know, Jacob, to tell you the truth, it sounded very much like what a client for one of those filthy, vile services would have said to a young woman who answered the phone.
Well, of course, not knowing about these filthy, vile services you describe, I wasn't even aware there is such a perverted thing. It merely helps if I know, since it is over the phone like this, it merely helps if the individual describes what it is they're doing.
Well, pains in the chest are pains in the chest.
There are pains, and then there are pains, and it does help if I do have a description to imagine.
Oh, Jacob, could you hold a moment? I got to take a break here. I want to clear up a few more things with you. We'll be right back. Jacob, I only have a few more minutes left before I have to break for a news brief. Why did you call and hang up earlier?
Irma was preparing my lunch, and the lunch had been put on the table.
Jacob, Irma's not there. You know it as well as I do.
Yes, she is.
Then just have her holler out, "Hello, Bob," in the background.
She's not right here in the area.
She's suddenly gone to another part of the house.
That is correct.
How convenient, Jacob. Why don't you admit that you and Irma are having problems and they're basically sexually related?
We are not having problems, and I can assure you they are not sexually related.
Well, maybe that's the problem. There aren't any sexual relations.
There are relations when we are attempting to procreate.
You mean problems when you're attempting?
No, we have no problems.
Very briefly, again, before we go to the news break, Ken in Tampa wants to talk to you. Ken, go right ahead.
Yeah, Jacob, why don't you just share with everybody here your own personal testimony as to how you came to Christ?
How I came to Christ?
Yeah.
That's none of your business.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
He said it's none of your business.
Okay, well then, I would like to tell the audience right now that this man is a phony. He's not a child of God. He's not a Christian.
Why don't you
He's like a professional wrestler that you see on TV, just doing an act to promote Bob Lassiter's show here. There's no Holy Spirit of God inside this man, and I hope you people aren't deceived by this nonsense.
Oh, what a brilliant man you are, sir. You're going straight to hell.
Yeah, okay. Bob, I can't believe you're doing this.
Can't believe I'm doing what?
Having a guy like Jacob on the line, professing to be a Christian.
Well, sir, aren't you being a tad holier than thou?
Pardon me?
Aren't you being a tad holier than thou, questioning Jacob's faith?
No, I look at the world and I look at the people that profess to be Christians and I align it with the Word of God. And if they don't match, then the person's a phony. He's a false teacher. He's a hypocrite. And I would particularly like to say that he's part of the Antichrist.
You're a homosexual.
Pardon me?
You're a homosexual.
Yeah, see, that proves it right there. Bob, I can't believe that you're going back onto this and picking on Christians again. I thought you were going to stay away from that stuff.
Picking on Christians, sir? How's that?
You're making a farce out of the whole thing with a guy like Jacob on the line.
Making a farce out of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Making a farce out of faith healing, sir? Are you accusing me of making a farce out of faith healing?
Do you really believe that Jacob is a Christian? Bob, seriously?
Sir, all I know is what I'm told. Would you tell me that you're a Christian, sir?
Yes, I know I am a Christian. And I know that there's 100 listeners out there that should call in right now.
Sir?
Come on, Christians out there, call in and tell them what's going on here.
Sir, do you believe in laying on hands?
Yes, I do believe in laying on the hands.
Well,
the elders of the church get together and lay on the hands for the sick.
Well, then what is your problem with Jacob, sir?
The Holy Spirit, first of all, does not specialize in a man's penis or a woman's breast. That's nonsense. Second of all, a Christian being led of the Holy Spirit wouldn't continue a conversation the way Jacob has with you today, sir.
Well,
you have to inform the heathen.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to give any more attention to this, but I would like to encourage any more Christians that are out there to go ahead and call in and let them know what's going on. This is ridiculous. I think
That's why I'm calling.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, thanks, Ken. Jake, take care there.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
For the minute, but I just interrogate. I am a passporter because I hope morality will come back to the country. Don't you interrogate those that say, oh, they're phonies and all that? You don't interrogate them like you do.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, like because the ones that call
Which phonies did you have in mind, Peggy?
You're calling Pat Robertson and the others a phony. You don't say to them, why do you say that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? No, you don't do that. But if somebody comes in on the opposite view...
Well, I beg your pardon. I am the one that called him a phony, and I told you why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, somebody else called in and said it, too.
No, because I'm not talking to anybody but Robertson supporters.
Yeah.
Am I, Peggy?
Am
I, Peggy?
That's right.
Am I, Peggy? That's right. So I guess we didn't have anybody to call up and said he was a phony, because I'm not talking to those people.
They did, too. But I don't have but a minute. I'm not hanging up on you, but I don't have but a minute, so thank you.
For what?
For your time.
Oh. A line open in Hillsborough, 990-9352. Steve here on the air at WFLA. Steve is the newest member of the Subhuman Pig Club. Neil in Zephyr Hills, you're on the air. Neil is another member of the Subhuman Pig Club. Richard in Tampa, you're on the air at WFLA.
Yeah, Bob, this is Rich. I'm calling. I'm a black male, and I think I qualify as a racist. I have watched over my lifetime the whites oppressing blacks to the point that I really don't think anything should change. I really believe that down the line, the way things are going, when the new programs, the social programs start to turn around and blacks are in a superior position, then blacks will be able to oppress the whites just like...
oh, boy, that'll make it all even, huh?
Well, you had a guy a couple hours back talking about why do you have a black America? I've watched Miss America all my lifetime, and I know a lot of black women are much prettier than any white Miss America that I've seen, so they have the white America. I look at the astronauts, I look at the President of the United States, all I see is white people pushing and pushing and pushing their white racism on me as a black man. And the funny thing is...
Well, you seem to have very selective vision.
Why do you say that?
Well, because there was an awful lot of white people that got together that said this is wrong, that have kept you from working for somebody in his cotton field today.
Well...
That have given you the vote, that have given you a job so that you have a telephone to call up on.
Yeah, but ironically, when the framers of the Constitution drafted it, they said all men are created equal. So I was given that right from that point because white people decided that they were going to use their racist tactics to deny me that right, that I couldn't go to schools with white people, and that I could not live in communities that I chose to live.
Well, I guess you're no better than those people, then.
Well, that's why I'm calling, because I consider myself a racist in some regards, and turn around as fair play. What I was driving at, and what the point I wanted to make is that in the field of sports, where you have a uniform system where you have rules and you can't change the rules in midstream and you cannot use nepotism. You have the people like Jackie Robinson or Joe Louis in boxing or Jim Brown in football, where in just the last 40 years they have taken over Hank Aaron in baseball, who has surpassed all the records of white supposed superior.
Yeah, and it was an awful lot of white people that went to bat so that Hank Aaron could play baseball.
Well, like I said, that was given to me and to my black forefathers when the Constitution is drafted. Okay, so they, they say it was taken away by white racists.
Well, I guess they were white people that put it in there to start with.
Right. Again, as I said, we had no choice when it came down to even being a part. Even down to the vote, even down to just the simple. 2/3, we were looked at as 2/3 of a person. Or
by the way, you don't know your history very well, because those men that drafted the Constitution, many of them were slave owners, and they specifically denied you, the black man, you, the editorial you,
right,
the vote, right to play, the baseball game, and the whole bit.
All right. Well,
it was some white people who are quite alive today who saw the injustice of all of this and tried to do something to change it.
Well, ironically, the way I look at it is that. Again, when you put down all of the racial barriers and we are looked at as equal, we tend to be far superior. And as I said, looking in between the white lines in the field of sports, as an example, when you cannot use racial prejudice and racial stereotypes, we far surpass in that market and in that field of battle. And eventually...
I really don't see what your problem is with white racists.
No, well, see, the thing is, eventually what will happen is that when blacks are in a position of authority, then we will be able to show white people what racism really is about.
Well, I guess that blacks will never be in a position of authority if about the best you can do is to point out that you have a home run king.
No, that's not... That's just... I mean, I just brought up one point. I mean, you have to, you know... In
yeah, perhaps the most unimportant one.
I mean, in the music... No, I mean, I use that as an example, talking about things being equal. How many other fields of... I mean, in education, we weren't even allowed to... Until Brown versus Board of Education, we weren't even allowed by law to go to school where we chose to go to school.
No, but you're still permitted to pick up a book and read.
Well, fine, but equal education for all people, we weren't afforded that. All right, so I mean, if you look over the overall period of time in our generation, at least in my generation, eventually we will surpass and we will be in the forefront and we will be in power. And then that's why I don't want any.
No, Richard, I think you're wrong because there's still enough decent people today to keep black racists and to keep white racists from running rampant in this country.
Well, as I said, I didn't learn about racism from a book. I saw it from whites. Whites taught me how.
All the more reason you should be appalled by it instead of sitting there licking your chops waiting until it's your turn.
Well, as I said, if you're not turnabout is fair play.
No, it's not. That's just a phrase.
I did not create the situation. It was created by whites. And all I'm doing is just, I don't want any patronage.
No, all you're doing is a great disservice to your people. That's all you're doing.
I'm not doing any disservice to my people. Whites have done disservice to my people. All I'm doing is...
Well, yes, whites have done a disservice to your people, but you are also doing a great disservice to your people.
Well, that's your opinion. And as I said, when it comes down to it, there will be a time, and as I said, without the patronizing whites that are trying to look for equality now, it's mighty funny now...
Patronizing whites, Richard?
Yeah, patronizing whites, because now, all of a sudden, that blacks are starting to come in the forefront. Now, all of a sudden, we have all these white liberals and these white...
No, it's not a matter of now all of a sudden, Richard. There have always been such people who are always opposed to any form of prejudice, to any form of bigotry, to any form of anything that would hold one human being below another. They've always been around, Richard.
Well, it's now starting to present itself a lot more in social programs. It's starting to present itself more where you have blacks that...
Where the hell even those social programs are coming from, Richard?
Because, again, I said it was something that that shouldn't even have been presented. That never should have been an issue. It was already decided and agreed upon in the Constitution over 200 years ago.
Well, you're wrong. It wasn't. Again, I'll go back and point out to you that the people who put the Constitution together, many of them were slave owners, and they debated whether or not to give black people an equal share and decided against it.
When it says all men are created equal...
Well, I know what it says, Richard. All kinds of things are said that aren't meant.
Well...
And it's only recently that some decent people have pointed out that it says all men are created equal.
Some decent
and
white
have tried to make something of it. Some decent white people, some decent black people, some decent yellow people, some decent red people.
It's still going to be a position where I will eventually be, and as I said, I look at it as ironic that now the whites that are coming about are standing up, black and white together, talking about, yes, equality for all, and that there shouldn't be discrimination.
You make it very difficult, Richard. You make it extremely difficult to ask for equality.
I shouldn't have to ask for it.
No, Richard, I think you misunderstood. You make it very difficult. You make it very difficult for anybody to stand up for your rights, Richard.
And served in the war. I should not have to ask for equality. I defend.
Well, again, I'll go back and point out that you misunderstood. Again, I will go back and point out the fact that you misunderstood my statement. You make it very difficult for anyone to stand up for your rights because you apparently have no respect for anyone else's.
I never had a choice in the matter when it was put upon me, and I had to go...
Oh, yes, Richard, I beg your pardon. You do have the choice of being a human being as opposed to being a racist.
I grew up
in a personal choice.
I grew up in a country that perpetuated racism against me. I did not
Maybe you did, Richard, but you still made a very conscious decision on your own to be a racist.
When you go halfway around the world and fight against a group of people who never called you nigger, who never told you could not live with them, and then you have to defend what white America sets up as their standard, and then you come back to a country and you say, yes, I am a veteran of a war where I defended America's freedoms, and you cannot buy a house without having a person in the front.
Well, this may come as a great shock to you, Richard, but there are an awful lot of white kids that went over there and did the same damn thing that you did, and they're suffering. No, they're suffering just as bad as you are.
Yeah, but they can change their name like Jerry Lewis, or they can change their name like Dean Martin, or they can change their their physical features. I cannot change the color of my skin just because you can hide behind a name.
Well, your implication is that Jews suffer, and obviously you know that Jerry Lewis is a Jew, and so does everyone else. Okay. And your implication is that Italians suffer, which obviously you know Dean Martin is an Italian.
You have a choice to turn around and decide to change a name, and when you walk through the door, nobody knows that you are not a white Anglo-Saxon American.
Well, you have a choice, too, Richard. You know what that choice is?
What is that, Bob?
To extend to everybody what you would have extended to you. It's a choice that you have apparently made not to live by.
Discrimination. I think Dick Norman is white, right? He's on 3 hours in the morning.
Yeah, I think he's white,
Bob, and you're white?
I think so.
You're for 4 hours. Ted Webb, I think, is white.
He's Hispanic, yeah.
And then you got Paul, he's white, I think. And then you 3 madams. Madam Courtney Campbell, Madam Ruth, and Madam Jeton. Mm-hmm. They're all 3 madams. And they're all white, I think.
Yeah.
And why don't you have a black day and a white day and a black day and a white day and a black day and a white day? No, because you're prejudiced. You give all the days all day long to whites. Why don't you have blacks?
Well, first of all, I don't do the hiring here. And secondly, to the best of my knowledge, this radio station, as do most radio stations, go out of their way to seek black candidates for positions.
Well, it may not be maybe qualified then, because to my knowledge, you don't have a black one on except that gal that reads the news, and she doesn't pronounce words correctly half the time. Yeah, you know, like H-E-L-P, we want to help, but she said we want to hope them. H-O-P-E, we want to hope them. We don't want to help them, we want to hope them. H-E-L-P is hope.
Well, actually, I think every white person here at the station has, from time to time, sometimes many times, in the course of one day, mispronounced a word, you know.
Well, it just seems sort of funny you're talking about equality for blacks, which is...
No, I'm not talking about equality for blacks today. I'm soliciting people who are racist, which apparently I guess you are.
Just equal time to blacks, you know, and yet you don't have a black, to my knowledge, on the station in the 24 hours. You used to have that Bob, whatever his name was, it was president of the NAACP, and boy, you got rid of him in a hurry. He's not on anymore on Sunday.
That's right, he's not on anymore on Sunday.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I have no idea. I didn't ask.
So if somebody asks you an intelligent question, you can give an intelligent answer.
Have you asked an intelligent question yet?
I certainly have. I said, why is he not...
Guess it was before I put you on the air.
That's intelligent.
Oh. Could have fooled me. As a matter of fact, you did.
I didn't hear you.
Oh. Well, turn up your hearing aid next time. Tom? In, someplace in Pinellas County. Hello, Ann.
Ann?
Yeah.
I'm Ann. I'm a Pat Robertson supporter.
Great. Why?
Bob, you're like a mad dog. Why don't you go to a vet and get checked for rabies?
Well, they do call me Mad Dog, Ann. Why is it that you're a Robertson supporter? I don't have rabies. I guess Ann just wanted to hear herself on the radio, and Ann doesn't know why she supports Pat Roberts. Here and play the kazoo while I wait for you people to admit to what it is that you are and tell us just why it is that you love Pat. So you have the phone numbers. I'm not going to go through this charade again and give you the phone numbers. We'll just sit here and wait, and however long it takes, hey, what the hell? Okay, what might be appropriate kazoo music for this particular program? I always love playing the kazoo. The phones light up. I guess people like my playing. Ooh, up to 4 lines. It always amazes me that no one else in the market has caught on to this stunt. Okay, we'll go with this. An incredibly unrealistic thing to say.
I have admitted, I know there's bound to be something.
But
just a handful, though.
The blacks are the most filthiest, ignorant people on this earth.
Next to the Mexicans.
Well, the Mexicans, they're a little bit cleaner.
A little bit cleaner than
Yeah,
blacks.
I've been there several times, yeah.
You've been where?
Mexico.
Why would you go to a country full of people just slightly better than blacks?
Well, it's been a long time ago when I was in the service, and I had to go there.
You had to go to Mexico in
Yes.
the service?
Uh-huh.
We don't have any bases in Mexico.
You don't have any bases, but there's a lot of other reasons to go there.
For example?
Well, some of it's Secret Service.
Well, I don't wish to be rude, but you don't sound like a young man. I'm sure it would have been a long, long time ago.
That's what I said. It's been a long time ago.
So, I guess it would probably be okay to tell us now.
Well, no. I'm sworn to secrecy. I cannot tell anything.
Well, you mean you don't want your wife to know that you went to that whorehouse in Tijuana?
Oh, yeah. I've been there, too. Yeah.
Oh, I see. You can make love to them, but you wouldn't want to live with them.
Well, I was young. That was $2 a throw. It made a difference. But it's better than nothing. But, no, the blacks are the filthiest, no good. And in Florida, they're worse than anywhere I've ever been. But I have never seen
Would you have slept with a black whore?
No, I haven't.
I said, would you?
No.
For $2?
No.
Buck and a half?
No, if it paid me $5, I wouldn't.
If they paid you $6?
No, well, no.
$7?
I'd have to have about $1,000.
$1,000? Well, you do have a price then, at least.
I'd sleep with it, but I wouldn't do nothing. I hate them that much.
Really?
Yeah. I can't stand them. They're no good. They never will be any good. Because they were mistreated maybe for 100 years or so as slaves, they expect us to pay for their life for the next 100 years. We have to pay everything for them now. Welfare, and they won't work.
What percentage of black people do you think are on welfare?
Well, proportionately, percentage-wise, a hell of a lot more than white people.
Well, what percentage of black people do you think are on welfare?
I have no idea. About every other one, I think.
Not quite.
Well, let's say there's 20-something%. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot more than white people, percentage-wise, because there's a hell of a lot more white people. But they expect us for the next 100 years to keep them living, and groceries and all that stuff. Well, hell, what are we supposed to do? The 100 years that they were mistreated or so, why should we keep them up another 100 years? They're no good. They never will be any good. 50 years from now, they'll be the same damn thing they are right now. No good.
Just one final question.
No, back.
Just one final. Oh, I see. He didn't want me to ask him if he was a good God-fearing man. I guess the fact that he ran off so quickly tells us that he is.
It's always been that way. It probably always will be that way. Let me give you the phone numbers. In Tampa, 224-0057. No, 950-0057. Sarasota, 057. Hi, Brandon. Thanks for holding. You're on the air at WPLP.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
One of those salesmen that rarely gets to listen to your one entire hour, except that today I caught you coming back from Fort Myers, just south of Sarasota. Just south of Sarasota. I couldn't even pick you up until that time. Then one gentleman, you explained to him that your power was down for a while. So I was able to listen to the whole show coming back to Brandon, and just want to relate an experience that happened to me.
Sure.
Back to about 25 years ago now. I was a freshman in high school. We had a new teacher come in, and he taught Latin, and nobody liked him. And he really didn't deserve the abuse that he got, except that he was the classical nerd-type teacher. And, of course, we were all, the great students of the world, and we knew what we were doing. And we tended to harass this teacher throughout the 4 years that I was in high school. And it really culminated into an incident in my final year when I was a senior in high school. We had this same Latin instructor that we had as freshmen. We had him for a study hall class relatively early in the morning. And we still abused the teacher. Of course, we thought it was cute at that time. Things like we would write his name on the blackboard with some things underneath it. Nothing dirty, just kind of derogatory towards him. The guys would bring a little doll in, and they would hang him in effigy as when the teacher walked in. They'd take his desk set up on a little bitty platform. They would push the desk out to the point where it was almost off the platform, so when he sat down, his desk would fall on the floor, of course, creating quite a ruckus. Well, one day, he had just about had it with us, and...
I wonder why.
I wonder why, yeah. course, I said we didn't know the difference at the time. And he, I think, one of the students had dropped his pencil on the floor on purpose again, got up and walked around his desk and picked it up, and then he dropped it again and walked around. Well, teacher had just had it with all of us, walked up off his desk and walked over and slapped this guy up on the back of the head about as hard as he could, and sent the student to the principal's office. Well, I sat back about, maybe 12, 15 rows, and stared at that teacher for the longest period of time, until he looked at me and said, what's the matter with you? And I told him, I said, I just don't agree with you hitting somebody in the head like you did. And he said, well, he deserved it, And we went back and forth with some comments back and forth, and my contention was I just thought that, hitting him in the head was not the right thing to do. Slap him anywhere, slap him in the shoulder, slap him in the back, kick him in the knee, whatever you want to do, but don't slap the poor kid in the head. And we went on for about 5 or 6 minutes like that, when out of the corner of my eye, I was sitting by the door which came into the side of the room. I could see the principal walking into the room. And I expected almost one in the back of my head about that time, but I didn't get it. The principal just stood in the back and listened to us for about another 2 or 3 minutes, exchanging the conversation back and forth. I told him, what I disagreed with, and he told me what happened and why he did that particular thing. And finally the principal just said, okay, guys, let's stop it right here. There's probably maybe 15 to 16 students in the study all the time. And he gave the teacher's point of view first. And he said, no, you guys, I know what's going on here. You guys have harassed this principal, or this teacher for the last 4 years, and I think he's had about enough of it. And he looked at me and he said, I take your ideas in mind also. He said, no, I don't agree with the teacher hitting this student in the head. But what had happened was he had just had enough of your harassment, and he blew it. And now if we can all just stop and look at the whole situation. We did this, in front of all the students, the teacher, myself, and everybody else. He even brought the other student back who had gotten hit. Mm-hmm. And the principal laid it all on the line right there and told us what he thought of us for the harassment. He told the teacher what he thought of, for the hitting incident. And we all got together and stopped it right then and there after 4 years of going through this, baloney.
Sounds like they had a good principal.
He was very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. He handled the situation in front of everybody. He took my point of view, the teacher's point of view, and cooled the whole thing right there. Had he done it sooner, I guess, the whole thing culminated because nobody really did anything drastic through this 4 years. It was, just a series of pranks that we would pull on the poor teacher and whatnot. But this culmination of, getting slapped in the back of the head and whatnot, he brought it to the end, and the principal solved the whole problem right there. Mm-hmm. And that was, that's the end of it. So, anyway, appreciate your show.
For gifted students, but I can't see having special classes or special rows or special rooms for gifted students.
We didn't have. It was
because
it was a rural township. It was several towns bound together in an educational district.
Well, I think you just do tremendous damage to a child, and a child knows.
A special class to deal with apparent problem people, and they filled out a few odd spots with people that weren't being too terribly serious about advancing study, and on that particular course I wasn't. I was just filling out the point requirements to graduate. I had other things in mind. And anyway, it was very strange. The teacher never dared let his eyes off the class. He used an overhead projector to put everything on the blackboard on a white screen, because if his eyes left the class for as much as 1 second, you'd hear violence. And frequently he would look down at what he was drawing, pure instinct, and he'd look back up, and something would have happened. Maybe the black rubber hose would have whacked somebody, or I don't know what. But it was pretty damn strange. As far as the kids that are not motivated, the kids that don't want to learn, the kids that don't care, why not just give them a certificate that says, good for one high school education, and put them out the front door?
Why not figure out a way to motivate them?
I don't know how. Life often motivates people to do things that they themselves weren't motivated.
I agree with you. I don't know how to do it either, but there's got to be some way.
Let them get 5 years of maturity. Let them get 5 years of education at Hard Knocks University, best damn school in the world. Tuition's a little tough. But let them go out and get a couple of years, and then let them come back of weirdness, and let them come back if they're motivated. And if they're not motivated ever, it's that much less tax burden. It's callous.
Oh, you're quite wrong. It's that much more tax burden.
Why? If
Why?
they're not motivated, they're
If you have
going to
people-
take up room in the educational system.
If you have people who have no skills, who can't earn a living or enough of a living, we've got to take care of these people. We can't let them rot in the gutter.
Sir,
It's a hell of a lot cheaper to motivate them and teach them when they're young than it is to support them for the rest of their lives.
I appreciate what you're telling me. I think you're missing one point. You're going to have to take care of them anyway because they're going to sit in the high school, take up room, not take benefit from it. They're going to go out and carry on the same way anyhow. You'll have the same problems as not educating them.
But what you're advocating is a permanent underclass. We can't have that. There's no way to run a country. Is it?
What do you suggest as an alternative? I'm simply talking about recognizing that there are people that do not appreciate or seek an education.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being simplistic. But if you can figure out a way how to put men on the moon, if you can dream about building space shields in the sky, and there are people that say it can be done, then it seems to me there's got to be some damned way to figure out how to motivate children to learn and to teach them.
Sir, in the 1600s, the great frontier of man's knowledge was astronomy. In the 1700s, we were learning about chemistry and electricity. In the 1800s, we were learning about machinery and how to build telegraphs and guns like we never did before. In the 1900s, we started working on things like political reform and society and psychology. The frontier of knowledge is the human mind. We can put men on the moon because that is a field of knowledge we are now competent in. We're still on the great frontier.
It's a field of knowledge that we made ourselves competent in. It became a national goal to do that. We put all of our resources and energies into doing that.
I agree. We're not there yet in the arena of human thought. We are not going to be there for a number of years.
I think we're headed in the other direction. I would go along with you about the century of astronomy and the century of electricity, and we came pretty damned close in the late 19th and the early 20th century into figuring out how the hell to educate everybody. But then we seem to have lost it, and we're slipping backwards now. And it should be our national goal, I think.
It's a problem.
It really is.
I don't know. The only one motivation to cause people to stay more or less in line is to simply reassure them that weird behavior simply won't be tolerated.
Oh, I agree with you on that. Unfortunately, my friend, I'm way over my break because I'm enjoying this conversation, but I got to run.
I don't have an answer.
Nor do I, but there's got to be one.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
5:39 the time. Randy Wilburn standing by with Money and Markets. Sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, Randy.
Good afternoon, Bob. Well, we had a wave of late buy.
5:45 the time. South Pasadena. Hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
Bob.
Yes, sir.
I've just heard you speak about the parochial schools.
Mm-hmm.
I went before your time, and the hardest thing in my life that I've never learned how to spell right, spelling good.
They never taught me.
And I knew the Polish language fluently. I never used it. I knew the Polish alphabets. I never used it. But anytime I went for applications and all of that, I was stumped. And when I went to, I'm not going to say thank God for the war, but they gave me an that can't classify for the things.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you've got to learn how to read, you've got to learn how to write, and you've got to learn how to talk. And if you can do those three things, then you can do anything else you want. But if you can't do those three things, you're trapped.
Right. I had to take music lessons. I couldn't read the notes, so they made me take music lessons. But I was very good in math, trig, and mechanical drawing and machine shop, and an industrial course.
Mm-hmm.
In my days, we had industrial courses. I don't know, they changed them around. But some way or another, I was fortunate that I got into marine engineering. But I tell you, I sweat. Every time I took a test, I had to write little words down, spelling certain machinery and all of that.
I sweat right now if I have to write something if I don't have my personal computer available to me, because I know I can't spell, and it embarrasses the hell out of me.
It embarrasses me. I would like to write letters to some of my friends. You know, I moved down to Florida, but I feel always sort of embarrassed if I misspell words. You know, after all, you're 60 years old. When you misspell words to someone else who's educated, they look at you. You must think that they think you're an idiot.
Wish they had taught me how to spell instead of teaching me that mayonnaise was fattening.
Right. Okay.
I could have figured that one out on my own.
All right. Thank you. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bradenton, hi. You're on the air at WPLP.
Hi, I'm in 9th grade, and it makes me mad. I went all the way through 8th grade, and I graduated 8th grade and passed. And I couldn't do a long division at all, and I didn't know my times tables by heart. And now they decide to toughen up. When I'm in high school, they require me to know all this stuff when they never even taught it to me. And I failed math, and I have to go to summer school, so I didn't understand what they.
You weren't taught long division and multiple.
I was taught it, but I fell behind in about 2nd grade, and they never bothered catching me up. They just passed me and everything, and it didn't seem to bother. You know, it didn't bother me at the time. I didn't think it was that important, but now, you know.
Oh, mathematics are incredibly important. That is
I know.
One of the few strengths in my life is simple arithmetic. I'm an absolute whiz at it, and I can do it all in my head.
Well, I didn't, you know, when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, just didn't seem important, just as long as I knew how to read and write. It's like in 7th grade, I took the Iowa test of basic skills, and I rated in the top 3% of the country in the vocabulary section and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And in math, I mean, I did terrible. And I just don't understand why they didn't help me. They knew I didn't know how to do multiplication, yet they never tried to catch me up.
You know, exactly. You bring up a valid point with all of the testing that we do in our schools today, or at least I'm led to believe that we do a lot of testing in our schools today. You know, they should know where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. And, you know, hey, let's face it, I'm terribly good in arithmetic. I'm very bad in spelling. What they should have done with me is take me the hell out of their arithmetic class that I didn't need and put me in a spelling class that I desperately needed.
Uh-huh.
And it seems to me that you have the same problem.
Yeah, well, this was in Chicago. When I came here, I failed math all the time. They started grading everything. In Chicago, they just passed me. Here, they failed me, but it didn't matter. I would just go on to the next grade anyway. But it was only one class I was failing.
Brilliant.
And now my mom has to pay for a tutor for me. Because of what they did.
Hey, you're lucky to have a mom that, A, first of all, will part with the bucks, and B, has them.
Mm-hmm.
Real lucky.
I might have ended up not even going to high school or something like that.
How you doing now? Is the tutor helping?
Well, I start this summer while I'm taking summer school.
I see.
I gave up on math this year because I really couldn't. I learned how to do division this year. Finally, I have a teacher who decided to help me.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Do they let you use calculators, by the way?
No. That's in algebra.
They do let you use them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where I'm weak in the higher mathematics, in algebra and trigonometry and calculus. If they had let me use a calculator, I've since taught myself how to do it based upon the calculator. Calculator allowed me to accept the things that I couldn't accept in mathematics. You know, such as that. I always had trouble with, like, negative numbers. Didn't make any sense to me. But if the calculator says that, you know, -9 times -5 is 45, that I can accept. You tell me, and I say, you're crazy.
Uh-huh. Well, they allow, but I'm in General Math 1. And it, you know, I'm in General Math 1, yet I'm in Advanced English and Social Studies. And I'm failing that, yet I'm getting A's and B's in my other classes. It's just that 1 week area.
What other kind of classes do you have? I mean, I have no children, and I'm so far removed from school, it's pathetic. What other kinds of things do you have on a regular basis in school?
Well,
Subject matter.
They require four years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science. You have to take a performing arts credit for at least a semester in music or art or something. Mm-hmm. You have to take altogether 2 years of social studies, American government, world history, and you have to take some kind of computer credit or typing or business, those kind of things. I've had...
Do you have anything that you consider to be absolutely frivolous in school that you pretty much have to take?
Pardon me?
Do you have anything that you consider to be frivolous in school that you have to take?
No. Everything I take, I feel necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I was given the choice, and this summer I have to make up a semester of math, and next year I can't take driver's education because I have to make up the other semester.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay, thank you, my young friend.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate the call. Tampa 224-0057, Pinellas 393-0057, Sarasota, Bradenton 746-0057. It's awfully frustrating. I don't have the answers. I try not to talk about things that I don't have at least a partial solution to. And I have no idea what the solution is, but I do know, I am confident, and will not be convinced otherwise, that we have a major problem in education in this country today. And that we don't really, from what I can see, appear to be doing an awful lot about it. And I just fail to understand how, and this is no secret. I'm not telling you something that you don't know, that you haven't read or heard about before. And I just fail to understand why it is not some type of incredible national priority in which we're putting all of our efforts and, whatever. Frustrating as hell, isn't it? Must be even more frustrating if you have kids. Dan Rather standing by with his daily commentary. CBS News at the top of the hour. One more open hour following that. And it has been open today. We're all over the place. Don't go far, please.
You're listening to The Bob Lassiter Show on WPLD.
Dan Well, welcome in there, fun seekers. 7.5 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. It is what is it anyway? Yeah, it's a Tuesday, May 16th, 1989. You know how it is after a long weekend. It takes a few days to get up and running again. By the way, speaking of up and running again, actually, I'll get to that in a moment. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be in Slade Steele's living room for all, that's worth. It's a big day for Slade. The rest of you, what could you care less, right? You better believe it. Speaking of up and running, I had something happen to me Saturday morning, like I just can hardly. We went up to Wakulla Springs, okay, and we took a nice leisurely way up and stayed in Cedar Key, of all strange places. Cedar Key Friday night, really neat town. I mean, a really super neat town. Unfortunately, it's like 25 miles to the nearest convenience store from Cedar Key, and it's another 110 miles to anything from there. But nonetheless, a really neat town, and I get up Saturday morning, and I don't really think there's any way to tell you guys this story. I don't really. It was. I have a lot of bad luck with motels and Muffy, okay? Muffy tells a great story concerning the first time we ever stayed at a motel, a Motel 6 in Miami. But it's a great story, and there are a lot of... Every time we go to... Okay, we didn't have any reservations in Cedar Key, and we pull into town, and there's this really nice motel, and it says vacancy, and so I go inside, and the guy says, well, basically we like to rent out for a couple of nights at a time, not just one. And I said, well, hey, great, when I'm staying a couple of nights, that's the way I like to rent them, but I'm only staying one. And he said, well, we set aside a couple of rooms for that purpose, and actually what it is, it's a condominium, and you can have it for one night for $100. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, really nice condominium. It's probably a great price. Except, she, 100, oh, God, that's a lot of money, and everything. And I said, well, and Muffy, who has a lot more gazunk. Any place else in town that's decent? I would have never had the nerve to ask. And the guy said, well, yeah, there's this place down the road. You turn right here, you turn left there, you go to the other place, up and down and then around the block. Which is kind of amusing because, we had just gotten into Cedar Key, and we didn't realize that you can virtually see the entire island from any point on it. All he had to do was point. And so we come out to the car, and I said, God, honey, did you catch any of those directions? And she said, no, I didn't catch any of them either. And we were talking about a place that's, primarily 4 square blocks. There just can't be that many turns involved, and there aren't any one-way streets. So nonetheless, we get in the car, and we start cruising, and there's this nice, and it's an older little motel, but I saw that they had some porch swings under a gazebo type of thing out by the Gulf, and I said, let's stay here. And it was $30 a night. $30 a night, of course, is relatively inexpensive. And which really, I'll tell you what really ticked me off is that for $30, I'm sitting out there, with a Lincoln, the gold, the whole bit, the gold MasterCard, and the guy checks my credit card for $30 in front of me. But that's okay.
The room was acceptable, and we had a really nice night. We had a great time. We found a fantastic little bar, had a great meal, went back, had a fair night's sleep, got up the next morning. I went in and I sat down in the smallest room in the suite, you know, and it was one of those deals where every time you got up, the system would say, "No, you don't. Back down there, boy. I ain't finished yet." Toilet wouldn't flush. Well, you know, when you'd flush it, it would take about 1% of one. For over an hour, or at least it seemed like over an hour. It probably was. Muffy could tell you better than that, because towards the end she started giggling. I stood there flushing. What else was he going to do? Well, several things happened since last we chatted, didn't they? I want to tell you, when I came home and started reading through the paper, that Bushy guy, he is unbelievable. Absolutely. I mean, talk about tough on crime. Only 15 rounds in a clip. I mean, is this guy tough on crime or what, huh? 15 rounds, that's, whoa. I'd also like to take this time to apologize for a statement that I made regarding an incident which took place several Saturdays ago. On Monday, April 24th, I used my position on WFLA to make some damaging accusations that were untrue. The incident I refer to happened at a place I described as that very large bicycle shop on MacDill Avenue. Well, without going into any more detail, I'd like to say that I took a set of unusual circumstances, misinterpreted them completely, and formed a hasty, wrong conclusion. Somehow, I transferred the experience into hostility and violence on the air, and voiced it on the air. These people did not mistreat me. Since that time, I've learned they have a well-deserved and excellent reputation, one that they have worked diligently for 26 years to achieve. I apologize to the staff and management of the bicycle shop, and I apologize to my listeners for taking advantage of my position to say things that I did.
To give you dudes like a totally awesome demonstration.
About 3 years ago, at a place called Tyrone Square Mall, it was back when I was working at the other station with David Fowler and Tim Coles, and we were doing this kind of talk show host battle of the talk show hosts, if you will. And a combination, God, it was really hilarious, and a combination health fair at the Tyrone Square Mall, and it just went on and on and on and on forever. And I remember arriving there somewhere in the neighborhood of noon, and I looked out, and there were perhaps 100, 150 chairs set up. And I was standing there trying to get acclimated, and this dear, dear, sweet, yet somehow pathetic little old lady got up from the center of the seats and started waddling. There's literally no other way to phrase it or describe it. Waddling over to the podium, to the stage area. And I could see her coming forever. She just was one of those people that really stood out. Hair was snow white. It was in a bun. Slowly but surely, she made her way over. And she beckoned to me, and I thought that, you know, she was a fan. And I bent down, and she said, "I don't like you." And she turned around, and she started to walk back to her chair. And we're talking about very, very slow. It must have taken this woman a good 2 minutes to walk the 100 feet. Easily. She gets approximately halfway back to the chair, and she does a 180, and she comes back. And again goes through the whole same routine. She beckons to me. I bend down, and she says, "You're ugly." She turns around and goes back. Well, frankly, it was hilarious. That whole afternoon was hilarious. The front row of the people in that shopping mall were, well, there's this very derogatory term, older than dirt. They were absolutely ancient. Many of them were in wheelchairs and walkers and had canes and crutches. They were very elderly people. They probably weren't very nice people either. They were probably rather mean-spirited people because they were fans of one of the other hosts. I won't mention his name. But the one who pandered to the mean-spirited people in this community. The ones who, don't like to spend any money for education. They're the ones that don't want anything but handouts for themselves. People that I don't mind telling you I basically don't like. They're nasty, mean, old people. They're not mean because they're old, but they're old anyway. Things happened that afternoon. Slowly, we were there for 5 hours. Slowly, the audience turned over. Slowly, the walkers and the wheelchairs disappeared. Slowly, the elderly people disappeared. And slowly but surely, that audience turned over into an adult audience, a 25, 54 kind of audience. It took 5 hours to do it. Later that night, I went over to David Fowler's house, and we sat around, and David and I were frankly quite exhilarated. It was a very interesting afternoon, or an early evening for us, and we talked about how things had changed that very day. How that radio station, how perhaps even talk radio in this market had changed that very day. We sat there and watched it happen. We sat there and watched a very mean-spirited element driven, literally driven from the radio station, driven from the stage, driven from the shopping mall. The hero of the mean-spirited people became smaller and smaller and smaller. From that day on, I literally made my mark in this market, at least in part by doing a number on people like that, on the befuddled people. I don't apologize for it. I mean, hell, if they were together enough to pick up the phone or to come out to a mall, if they're together enough to vote in a block, then they don't deserve an easy time. They deserve all the grief and aggravation that you can lay on them. I want to talk to you about age. I want to talk to you about the elderly. How we deal with them, how we perceive them, and how they deal with us. 20-year-old Ralph and McDonald's could exist in a small town directly across the street from each other, but that's not my problem, since I own neither McDonald's nor Ralph's. There were a total of 4 customers that I could see in the restaurant. There was my wife and myself sitting at one booth. A little bit ahead of us, there was a young man, perhaps late 20s, early 30s. He looked like a working-class kind of guy, had a motorcycle helmet. He was sitting there eating his lunch quietly. And in a booth ahead of him was a woman, perhaps anywhere from her mid-50s to her late 60s. It was just one of those deals where I couldn't tell for sure. And she was sitting there nursing. No other way to phrase it. No other way to describe it. A small burger of some kind and a cup of coffee. She was sitting in the first booth facing outside, facing the street. The young man was sitting in a booth directly behind her. So her back was to him. He was sitting there wolfing down a good working-class kind of guy's lunch. And Mary and I, having just gotten off the road driving for a couple of hours, we're sitting there as you normally are after a boring, monotonous drive, just kind of staring into space, vegging out, if you will, putting away a burger and a cup of soda. There was a Muzak system on, playing nondescript music. One of those things where you're not even sure it's there. And all of a sudden I realized that the older woman was talking. And she was talking to the young man with a motorcycle helmet, just half turned over her shoulder. And she had been going on for, several seconds anyway, before I caught on, and I just started to eavesdrop. And it became apparent that she was talking about a song on the Muzak system. A song called, and I really feel silly about this, it's either sukiyaki or teriyaki or some kind of yaki, okay? I believe it is from the Flower Drum song, but I can't be positive. But that's what I think it's from. And, I'm just not into that kind of music, but nonetheless, it was one of those monotonous, boring, repetitive songs that I think was popular in the 1950s, the late 1950s. I know I've heard it 1,000 zillion times, and it certainly would not make me unhappy if I never heard it again. And she was telling this young man that the first time she ever heard this song was when her son went into the Army. And he was somewhere in the Asian area, and he had sent this record home to her. And And she fell in love with it, and she had several different versions of it, and it was very, very hard for her to get versions of it now. And she had it in different tempos, and she was explaining that the tempo that was being played on the music system was relatively slow, and she had several versions that were much faster, and it made her feel so good. And the guy eating the hamburgers is sitting there saying, yeah. Oh, is that so? Makes you feel good, huh? Good. And she went on for quite a number of minutes. And I'm sitting there, and... Okay, I'm somewhat of a grump, all right? And the first thing that goes through my mind is, boy, hey, that old lady picked the right guy in this restaurant to talk to, because if she was trying to talk to me, I'd be calling the manager by now. That's the first thing that went through my mind, okay? The guy finishes his lunch. She finishes the story, by the way, first. He finishes his lunch. He gets up. He says goodbye to her, and he walks out the door. And I've had maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes now to think over my initial, what a miserable old bag. What the hell is she bothering that nice guy for kind of reaction? I turned to Mary and I said, there goes probably one of the nicest people on the face of the earth. He's not a very articulate man. The woman would have probably done far better to talk with me, because if I was in the right mood, I would have really talked with her. And he talked to her as much as he possibly could, probably as much as he ever talked to his mom or his wife or his girlfriend. That's just the kind of guy he was. He looked at me like a yup, kind of guy. He said goodbye to her on the way out, which seemed to make her day. And then it was almost like a McDonald's commercial. There was this little black woman, maybe, 4.5 feet tall, if she was that tall, and almost as round, working at McDonald's, cleaning off the tables. Mary and I were getting ready to leave. And again, we're the only people in this McDonald's. And the woman comes over, the black woman comes over, she's wiping off the tables, and the other woman, the teriyaki, sukiyaki, whatever the hell the song is, lady, looks up and says, oh, hi, Marge. And Marge says hi, and it was just like a commercial, with the sun streaming through the window. And out the door, Mary and I went and got in the car and drove 150 miles or so south. I thought about that woman an awful lot on the way home. She never did say if her son came back from the Army, or if he ever comes by or calls her. It's the day after Mother's Day, and she didn't mention whether or not he had brought a new version of the record the day before. 3 hours later, we walk into our house, just finished unloading the car, and the phone is literally ringing. It's a friend on the other end of the phone. Not just any friend, but a very, very, very special friend. As a matter of fact, in all probability, if you are of my generation, he's your friend too. Once or twice I have alluded to him, and I, again, will respect his privacy and won't tell you who he is or all that much about him, except let me say that he's in the entertainment industry, okay? And let me promise you that if you're of my generation, this individual, my friend, your friend, has had a mark on your life. Take my word for that, if you will, please. You've been somewhere, you've heard something, you've done something that you can relate to with this man. Just take my word on it, please. I've not heard from my friend for a long time. Not since last fall. The entire winter had gone by, and now most of the spring, and I hadn't heard from my friend. He used to write to me quite frequently. Now, when I say my friend, let me be perfectly clear on this. It's not a lifelong bosom buddy relationship. This is a man I have seen once in my life. I may never see him again in person. We have exchanged a number of phone calls, perhaps 3 or 4, and maybe a dozen and a half letters over the last year and a half, and yet he's as much my friend as people that I've known almost all of my life. A very special kindred relationship between my friend and myself. I'd written him a letter last week before we went away. Page and a half. Mentioned some things that had gone on in my life. Mentioned that I hadn't heard from him for a while, and that it bothered me. And hoped that I hadn't said or done anything to insult him, and I sent it off. My friend wrote me over I guess it's about a 5.5 page letter. But he wanted to check with me on the telephone before he sent it. He wanted to know if I wanted to hear what he had to say before he actually sent it, if I wanted him to read it. He said it was a pretty tough letter. He said he was angry with me. Maybe even disappointed would be a better word. I said that I thought I could take it. And he read me a letter that he had written but had yet to send. He, too, started off the letter by telling me some things that had happened in his life since last we had seen each other. About a number of operations, not pleasant ones. About a number of other medical problems that he had, not pleasant ones. And then he let me know in no uncertain terms that I had hurt him very much by being too hard on the elderly. You see, my friend is 30 years older than I am. And the years are starting to catch up with him. And I'm sure he's concerned about it. I'd hurt my friend by being too hard on the elderly. I was stunned. Me, too hard on the elderly? Are you serious? What about Mr. Russell? The guy who was in his 70s when I was not even 10 years old. And what about all the other things that I've done to defend the older people in this country? I mean, all those older people I've been so patient with on the phone. The nice ones. No, I know I have no time for the mean and nasty ones. I have no time for them at all. And the only people I jump on deserve it. They're the stereotypes. And so what if I jump on them? It's all a game anyway, isn't it? They're not real people to you or to me. I was stunned. My friend said I had just become so mean and so vindictive, and that all I did was constantly berate and abuse the elderly. But my friend is real, you see. He's very real to me. He's a real, live, breathing human being, and I was therefore very, very concerned that I had done anything to hurt him or to disappoint him. My friend had just gone through a very rough year, the kind of year that makes you aware of the passing of time, the kind of year that maybe makes you a bit more aware of being old than you might otherwise like to think. Now, you see, my friend is one hell of a lot hipper than I am. He's a very, very cool man. But he's also part of an older generation, a different generation than the one I belong to. And he defends his generation just as I defend mine. He is offended by glib phrases and words that are derogatory and intended to insult and to bite. Things like, you old bag, or your blue hairs, or references to false teeth and walkers and things of that nature. He went on to tell me about the trouble that he's having with his, in essence, false teeth. He wondered if the day would come when he would be in a walker. And I was devastated. Suddenly, all these throwaway lines, all of these empty words hurled at faceless, unreal people on the other end of a telephone were scoring direct hits on a very, very real person. My friend. He went on to say that he didn't listen very much anymore. I was very embarrassed for having put my friend in such a position as to have to tell me that. I gave half-hearted excuses, explaining that, well, I didn't really have a lot of experience with the elderly. I said my friend, my mother died when she was 60. My grandmother on my father's side died when she was 59. My grandfather on my mother's side died when he was 65. I didn't grow up with old people. I don't have any old aunts. I don't have any old uncles, you know. So forgive me if I don't know how to deal with them. It's not totally my fault. I spent almost the entire night last night thinking about my friend and his generation. I've often talked about how shabbily we treat our elderly in this country. I was talking more in terms of, you know, like making them retire and this kind of stuff. I guess I never really stopped to think very much about what it must be like to be on the other end of those empty phrases, you know, the blue hairs, the old bags, that kind of stuff. I never really thought about that as being mistreatment of the elderly. Never really stopped to think that it hurt. Never before have millions and millions and millions of the most stable citizens in a community just upped and moved off, creating irreparable vacuums and social upheaval. But they are the two numbers to you see. The object of this whole thing is you see, I give out this category, and you people call in with your clever responses. That's the whole purpose of this. It could be really funny and hilarious, and you see the category is the top 10. Look, a lot of you are probably saying Lassiter's ripping off Letterman, which is basically true, but you must understand that Letterman ripped off the Family Feud. And this is really funny stuff. I mean, this could really, really be funny stuff. And you see, we give out the category, and you people call up with 990-935 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in... Is this damn thing working? Do you want to get Wilson in here? I don't think the damn microphone's working. It's either that or I got a bunch of numbskulls out there, Mikey. Get Wilson in here. 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. You see, J-Corps is headquartered in Cincinnati, and that would kind of be like the home office there. And we came up with this really great idea for this Friday show. As a matter of fact, I checked it out with Michael around noon today. He said, "Oh my God, that's going to play like you wouldn't believe." I should have known right then and there to do religion or something like that. And you see what it is we're compiling the top 10 list as, and we did one for you to kind of give you an idea as to how it should be, and then we suggested a category. The category for this hour for the top 10. It's kind of like, you know, the Family Feud or the David Letterman, and it's the top 10 characteristics that a fox should have to catch Gary McHenry's eye. And we even gave you an example. We gave you number 10, and that is a pulse. That is very funny. That is really very, very funny. You know, a characteristic that a fox should have to catch a pulse. And the rest of it should be relatively easy from there. And we have this very, very creative audience on Friday. Unfortunately, I think many of them are out of town. Clearwater, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Hi.
I think the obvious. She must be able to play Yahtzee and let Gary win.
Play Yahtzee.
Know all the rules to Yahtzee, and of course she'd probably end up winning, but she's got to know how to fill in her little scorecard so it turns out that Gary can win.
All right. I think that is an excellent idea. Yeah. Where have you been all of my life? I mean, why have I had to sit here and sweat and become very apathetic?
Well, I got the easy one. I got the first one.
Well, okay. So we have number 10, a pulse. Number 9, be able to play Yahtzee and lose.
That may be higher on the board, but you have to fill them all in first.
I think that's an excellent one, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
They are just so sharp and Clearwater. That was Clearwater. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Tampa.
How about she has to have her head in the cloud?
Head in the clouds. That would certainly help a great deal. Head in the clouds.
Hey, you made my weekend, Bob, with conga. I look forward to that every Friday. I'm psyched and I'm ready for the weekend.
Well, we kind of were easing up on conga for a while, but I'm such a traditionalist.
Yeah, oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, can somebody say hi to you, please?
Well, I suppose.
Okay, just a minute. Hi, Bob Lassiter.
Well, hi there, little person. What is your name?
Bye, Bob Lassiter.
That's the most bizarre name I've ever heard in my entire life. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Yes, Tampa.
Hi. I think I have an idea. How about a convertible so he can scope him out while he's flying around up there in his airplane?
A what?
A convertible car?
Convertible.
Yeah, so when he's looking at traffic, he can look at the babes down there in the convertible. So he can get a better shot of them.
So to speak, yes, certainly wouldn't hurt, except that he would probably be leaning dangerously outside of the plane with his binoculars looking
well,
straight
he's a
down.
dangerous kind of guy. I think he could handle it. A close second would have to be, a car with T-tops.
Oh, so to speak. Well, yes, I think that's a distinct possibility.
That might only be like a number 3, but it might wind up in number 4. We'll see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
We are, of course, looking for the top 10 characteristics that a fox should have to catch Gary McHenry's eye.
Day passes to Big Daddy Don Garlitz's Museum of Drag Racing History, and she needs a nice assortment of herpes complexes.
Okay.
Would you care for some more?
No. I knew when you said this was a great idea and that it would really play well at noon that, St. Petersburg, Saint, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hey, doggone it. How about brainwaves and not be on any kind of life support?
Well, that's fairly close to a pulse, but I'll accept that. Brainwaves. Okay.
Oh,
well, it's no problem
good
there.
shot anyway, right?
Well, of course it is. It's a fantastic shot. Take care there. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, though. St. Petersburg, Saint, you're on there at 970 WFLA. Hello, Saint. Saint once. Saint twice. Saint never again. Tampa, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Oh, just fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
Bullets. I got 2.5 hours of this left.
Oh, yeah? Hey, how about a white cane?
A white cane. I like that one. I think it's probably the first. Playing Yahtzee, that was pretty good, too. A white cane. I like that. I like it so much I'm actually even going to write it down.
Oh, yeah?
Excellent choice.
Okay, Bob.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Tampa, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I think they have to have the characteristic of thinking that Lionel is the best talk show host in Tampa Bay.
Why would you say that?
Well, because I think Gary's women are kind of stupid.
Oh, okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. I'll take some more. They do pay me for this. Tampa, you're on the air at 9. Red bushy tail. Would you, could you whisper in my ear or something?
They might hear me.
I'll back up away from the microphone. Can't hear you.
What do you want from me?
I don't understand the red bushy tail thing.
I'll explain it on the break. I'm not going to
explain it on the break. Great. Seminole, you're on there at 970 WFLA. Hi, Sam.
Yeah, hi. They could suntan nude in the backyard when he flies over. How's that?
Okay. Thank you. If I can read this. Top 10 characteristics a fox should have to catch Gary's eye. Number 10, a pulse. Number 9, play Yahtzee. Number 8, have a white cane. Okay. Now it's Tampa. Hi, Tampa. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob.
Yes.
How you doing today, Bob?
Are you serious?
Never mind.
Okay.
I've got a suggestion for you.
A suggestion.
How about at least one mammary gland?
Pardon?
How about at least one mammary gland?
One wazoo.
Right.
Okay, at least...
That's a large criteria, but I think...
One wazoo. Okay. Thank you ever so much.
Okay.
I'll get back and check some of my notes here. And I gave them good examples how to do this stuff. Sworn I did. All right, let's go to Land O'Lakes. Hi there, Land. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob. I'm Jeff at Land O'Lakes, calling you from a payphone. Had to get a contribution in for Gary McHenry.
I would like to suggest that he have his girlfriend have a diaphragm that's wired for traffic reports so that he can suffer interruptus of a coitus kind.
Okay. You want me to write that one down?
And I thank you. Enjoy your show.
Hey, thank you ever so much. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob. How's it going? I have one for you. About a lifetime membership to the Magic Wand Car Wash, and she has to like Tom's snack foods.
Well, now we're starting to like. I like that. I'm going to write that one down. A membership, MEMBRSHIP, to the Brandon, and Wishy-Washy. Actually, it is. They have the Magic Wand at the Brandon Wishy-Washy. Okay, and Tom's. Excellent. A taste for Tom's gourmet vending machine food.
That's where we find him.
There is hope. There's somebody out. Mike, there's at least one of them out there that understands what all this is about. Hey, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
With all of my heart and soul, I thank you ever so much. I truly, truly do. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah. Hi, Bob.
Hi there.
It's a stupid thing, but I'll go along with it. How about a den? We gotta have a den.
A den?
Yeah. Fox den.
A fox den.
Sure.
A fox den. Hey, sounds great to me.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you, but of course I liked most of the other ones too. Again,
did you hear that, Bob? She said it was a great show.
Yes, I heard that. You didn't have to. I was just trying to gloss right over it. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello.
Hi there, Tampa.
Hi. It's the first time I called you, Bob. How about a pilot's license?
A pilot's license. Oh, I'm sure that would catch Gary McHenry's eye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Characteristics. Yeah, a fox should have to catch Gary's eye. Okay. Now it's Indian Rocks. Hi there, Indian. You're on there at 970 WFLA.
Hello there, Bob.
Hey.
This is my first time calling. This is a pretty strange world you guys live in there.
Oh, it's getting stranger all the time too.
See, I have the ideal.
No. Try again some other time there. Let's see, St. Petersburg. St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob.
Yes.
First time caller. Don't really care for you, but yesterday your monologue was superior, and I was really disappointed in the response of the whole Tampa Bay area.
Well, how about some characteristics? Top 10 characteristics here.
Pardon me?
How about some top 10 characteristics for
Bob McHenry?
Yes, about McHenry.
I think it's the highlight of your show when you go to him and he goes back to you. Just your conversation.
Well, thank you very much.
It's super, but I was really disappointed in the Tampa Bay area after that tremendous monologue yesterday.
Well, thank you very much.
And I really appreciated that, Bob.
Okay.
And that one wondered why I hung up on him 3 times.
Oh, lordy. I'm just pacing over here. You guys call in if you want to. Don't call in if you don't want to. I'm going to turn up the air conditioning a little bit there. There we go. Okay. This was such a great idea. I really did, Mikey. I really thought they'd fall right into it. All right, here we go again. This time it's Town and Country. Hi, Town. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty common thing with most women, but if she gives it to Gary, he'll really appreciate it.
Oh, what's that?
It's the Yahtzee handshake.
The Yahtzee handshake?
Yeah, like when you're shaking the dice.
Uh-huh.
It's like an invisible cup in your hand.
Yes, I can certainly see that. St. Petersburg. St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
A fish hook.
Fish hook.
Yeah, snag in the eye and yank it right out.
Uh-huh. Unbelievable. What a bunch of nerds. St. Petersburg. St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
I hear he likes his foxes, especially when they wrap themselves all up in sheep's skins.
Uh-huh.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, take care there. What the hell? St. Petersburg, St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, what about warm-blooded?
Warm-blooded. Okay. Warm-blooded it is. Palm, you see what you guys don't realize is that I was going to change this once every hour, and you see, I had come up with number 10 on each one of these. For example, let me give you this one here. Okay, the top 10 reasons for living in Tampa Bay. Okay, and number 10 was that the rents are too high in Selma, Alabama. See, that's really funny stuff. That is really, really funny stuff. But I'm afraid, I don't know. I don't really know. It's, like there were the top 10 reasons for watching Cheryl Brown. We might have used that, or the top 10 excuses for not calling. Like number 10 for the top 10 excuses for not calling was that you might be conferenced with Betsy from Largo. That would have been, the top 10 reasons, number 10 there. And the top 10 reasons for watching Cheryl Brown, number 10, she's a lot cuter than Charles Kuralt. This is some really funny stuff here. And we used to really have a very, very funny Friday afternoon. Palm Harbor, Palm, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Listen, Bob, she would definitely have to have blue hair.
Oh, why is that?
Well,
you see, with the top 10, you're not supposed to have to ask to explain them. They're supposed to be self-explanatory. Things like, she should have a pulse.
Yeah.
Nobody would say, well, why would she have to have a pulse?
Bob, Gary, he sees those little ladies with blue hair.
Mike, I think I might be overstating the point when I say no one in this audience would ask, well, why would she have to have a pulse? What's the blue hair thing again, sir?
I say, Gary, I'm sure he sees those little ladies in traffic all the time, and I'm sure they catch his eye.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob.
Please, can we break?
I'm afraid if we break, I may try to break from the studio.
You come to a Sherwin-Williams.
A few years ago when you was on that station, the worst day I ever had.
I remember. It was a big part of my life.
It was broadcasting doubleheader of the Atlantic Braves. And Atlanta lost two games. And guess what? They rebroadcast it the same day. And that day I heard Atlanta Braves lose 4 games. I never heard anybody lose 4 games in one day. Now, did I give you the thing for Gary?
I suppose it's a good thing. We don't carry baseball on the weekends here.
I think she should have that new... she should be able to ride a bisexual built for 2 or a trisexual built for 3.
Hey, she should be able to ride a bisexual
built for 2 or a trisexual built for 3. And that's my... Now, listen, I had to go because somebody's on my phone. Sayonara.
So glad to hear from him when I first heard the voice. So glad. St. Petersburg, St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yes, Bob.
Yes.
No legs.
No legs.
Right. Just can't run.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Bye.
I can't begin to tell you how much fun and glee sitting around the living room this morning with a coffee and Mary and saying, "Oh, here's one. Let's try it." Oh God, we were having such a great time. Larg, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob. This is how I have a list. Number 9 must have an eye of no more than 50. Number 8, a catcher mitt. Number 7, go to Number Kindergarten. Number 6, a Disneyland credit card. Number 6, a telescope. Number 5, 2 band-aids and a cork. Number 3, I think I have lost count. Number 2, headphones. And number 1, subscription to Pleasure Magazine. This is Hal. Good day.
Take care, Hal. Where do we get Hal and the Gazebo Man together, St. Petersburg, St. You're on there at 970 WFLA, home of the stars.
Hello?
Formerly magnificent Lassiter. Yes, hello there.
Who's this?
Who did you want to talk to?
Mike.
Mike. Well, I'm Mike.
You're not Mike. I know Mike's voice.
Well, Mike doesn't accept calls on these lines.
Why?
Because these are my lines.
Since when?
Since it's the Bob Lassiter show. That's since when?
Oh, really?
Really. You see, these lines are for hip, cool people to call in on the Bob Lassiter show and take part in it.
Hip, cool?
Hip and cool people.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't hang up on her. I guess she eliminated herself. St. Petersburg, St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Oh, magnificent moaner. I think the Fox would have to have the overwhelming desire not to exceed the maximum cargo weight of his airplane. That way she might possibly come to understand the meaning of the Mile High Club, as explained by Gary McHenry himself.
Okay. All right, well, we'll put that down as a character. I just want to go back and check this thing here. Okay, it's the top 10 characteristics a fox should have to catch Gary's eye. And I of course, started out with a pulse. Okay. Don Richards, standing by the WFLA News Desk. No doubt. Do you mind sharing your lunch with the great Fava? That was question number 10.
Hey, give me a chance. I've got carts loaded up here. Come on. All right, you ready?
Question number 10 was, do you mind sharing your lunch with the great Fava? Fava to you, too. Question number 10. Can you recommend any new towns for Alan Gardner to salute? Can you recommend... Question number 9 was, can you recommend any new towns for Alan Gardner to salute? Question number 8. These are the 10 most asked questions of new WFLA employees. Question number 8. Do you mind curtsying to Mr. Lassiter? Question number 7 was, can you give the temperature in Venice with a straight face? Question number 7 was, can you give the temperature? So we give the temperature in Venice, which is, I mean, it's, wow. It's about 12 miles south of Key West. Can you give the temperature in Venice with a straight face? That was a question asked of many people here. Question number 6. Do you mind sitting next to Saving Sam at the office party? That's one that was used to really separate the men from the boys. When they come in and say, whoa, no, I can't sit next to Saving Sam. And off they go. A lot of people lost out on the interview with that question. But question number 5. These are the top 10 questions asked of people. Do you promise to get your car washed at the Grand Prix, to eat all of your meals at Calb's Cove, to quit smoking, to buy your house at Woodridge, finance it through Town and Country Mortgage and Investment Corporation, and vacuum the carpets with an Auric vacuum cleaner? That was question number 5. Question number 4. Do you mind fixing up Gary McHenry with your roommate? Or anything else for that matter. Question number 3. I liked it better that way, Mike. Don't worry about it. Don't get bummed out, man. I think it worked out really nice. Question number 3. Do you promise to get your friends and neighbors to respect Don Richards so that we might narrow that gap between he and Paul Harvey? Question number 2. These are the top 10 questions that you see when people came in to apply here. These are the questions. Question number 2. Do you know how to make a... Could I start question number 2 over again? Question number 2. Do you know how to make a chair stop squeaking? And question number 1. This is question number 1. This is the most asked question of all, of the top 10 questions. This is number 1 of what was asked of all the people who applied here at WFLA in this last 6 months. Question number 1. Can you deal with a guy running up and down the halls hollering, "Good morning, good morning"? Little slow on the uptake there, Mike.
I thought you were going to do it one more time.
In rehearsal, we only did it twice. That's all we did in rehearsal. In the next hour, we'll have a new top 10. Let's see, where could we go here with this? I mean, I thought this one was...
How about the top 10 ways to get out of this building?
How about the top 10 reasons for living in Tampa Bay? Okay. If they can mess up the McHenry one, think what they're going to do with this one. Because this is, that's probably the toughest one of the whole lot, the top 10 reasons for living it now. And I've got the best one because rents are high in Selma, Alabama. So we will go with, if these people can't mess up this one, then they can't mess up nothing.